Yay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and most of all, thank you to Delboy. Yes, Delboy's here again. So, hope you are enjoying all this, everybody. We're going to get started now for our wonderful live chat. He says.
I'm
So,
really glad. I'm
Delboy.
really glad I'm here. I know that much. So.
Yeah. So let's get started. As the usual question is, what have you been watching?
Oh right, yeah. I ought to took my picture off, hadn't I? There's been actually quite a bit that's happened actually since. You remember last week I went to Birmingham and saw my friend's Jim Jam and that, and I sort of like told you what I watched then because I hadn't watched any of them because I'd only just got home. But I said over the week I'm looking forward to watching these. So I have watched The Irishman and I have watched Runaways.
Fantastic.
But these things that I've got here, I've only got in the last couple of days. So you're going to see them before my blog on Sunday. Basically.
Exclusive.
Yeah, so a bit of an exclusive. So I'll turn the background off. You can see how dark it is already. Look, there you go. So the Steel Book of the Fall Guys turned up.
Oh, yeah.
Now I wasn't a fan really of. Well, the TV show I was a fan of because I was of that age where it was Lee Majors. He was the Bionic Man. It had Eva Locklear, which I fancied like mad, and it was sort of like it had a nice sort of like theme tune. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the Fall Guy, the film, I thought it was pretty poor. Okay, a lot of people liked it, but I just thought that this shouldn't be called the Fall Guy. It should be based on that stunt film that Burt Reynolds did. I kept saying what the name was, didn't I? I've forgotten now, but it began. I think it was one name. It was like Spender or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can look it up, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it should have been a remake of that, which was Burt Reynolds acting as a stuntman, doing a big stunt and all of that sort of stuff. Anyway, so the other film that came today was Atomic Blonde.
Oh, nice.
Which I'd already got the Steelbook of, but this is the bigger deluxe set.
Fantastic.
That's just been released. Now, you know the story behind this one, Nigel, but W.H. Smith finally came through and Jaws has turned up.
Looks nice.
Which is lovely. Two of those have turned up. But that's great. That's just really because there was everybody thinking it weren't going to turn up, cancellations, blah, 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 blah. And it turned up. And two of them turned up. So you are what can you say?
Right.
Went to the charity store today, spent a $5. The first thing, the most expensive one was this one, the White Queen.
Oh,
the BBC production, I think, of Queen. Is it Queen Elizabeth I? It's called the White Queen. I thought it was. When I first heard it was announced, I thought they were talking about a chess game, but it's not.
Yeah. Oh, who's in that?
You know my history on that. Philippa Gregory. Oh, that's the best-selling novel. Hang on.
Oh, right.
The light's really bad in here, so
don't worry.
The White Queen, Juliet Abbey Aubrey or something. I can't read it. Probably not worth. There's that, and then these were £1 each.
Oh,
which was this was on Channel 4 quite a while ago. Humans.
Oh, love that series. Which one?
So that's series 1 and that's series 2.
Fantastic series. It was a shame it got cancelled.
£2 for both.
Fantastic. I wish that'd have carried on.
And for 50 pence from World of Books.
Brilliant.
A CD of fab music from the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. It's a silver screen production. I got the other silver screen Barry Gray one, so it matches it. This one's the Philharmonic Orchestra. The other one was the actual original recordings.
Did that come up on a search then? You was just doing. Fantastic.
I was just doing a search. But actually, what happened was Mainmeister, my friend, was threatening to do another live waffle in a couple of weeks of TV themes.
Yeah.
And I was looking through my TV themes on MP3, because I've got digital recordings of everything that I've got on CD. And it said that I had a Joe 90 remix, which was a club remix from 93. And then I remembered where it was. I said, I thought that was a silver screen. It was a bonus track on that thing. And I remember liking it, right? So then I went into YouTube and I typed in Barry Gray remixes. And this came up as a picture. And I went, silver. Yeah. So the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra did all of Barry Gray's did a remix of all his stuff. I like the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra; they're brilliant.
Yeah.
And so I went on World of Books, and it said 50 pence.
You can't argue. You can't argue with that.
So there we go. That's everything. I'm going to let you now spend the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, and you can have a lie down, a cup of tea, and
an extra 10 telling me about all the music that you like. I'll just sit here with a can of Coke and a munch of meat.
I'll just immediately say the things that I watched, which I've put up on the channel. We're continuing my Doctor Who look at. This time it was the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker's turn. Second story from The Key to Time, which is The Pirate Planet, 1978. And of course, this is famous because it's written by Douglas Adams.
That's right. He went on to become story editor from that, didn't he?
Absolutely wonderful story. Absolutely loved it. Then now X-Files has got back on board again. I was very disappointed in episode 7. It was the one where Mulder's on his own. I don't think it was very good. But then episode 8, she's back. Yes. In fact, she's lying down a lot because apparently she'd only had the baby about 2 or 3 days. That's dedication to go back on set and actually do it. But it's a great story and it all adds to mythology. And I love this episode because we see Skinner now, aside to him, that he's actually one of their biggest allies in FBI. And he tells his Vietnam story. And therefore we get to know a bit more about him and why he's backing them, which is really good. So those were the sort of things that I've done on the channel. Now, films that I watched, I did review this one, was A Night to Remember. This is my favorite of all the Titanic films. This is just classic. I think it's better than James Cameron by a mile. Because it's not concentrating on the romance and that. This is about, it just feels like a real proper tale, not dominated by that. And it's it's 1958 as well. It's 1958. It's just so good. Absolutely loved it. It's just a film that you want to think, wow, they did this. And even the special effects, okay, they're models, but to me, they're just good. There's people complaining about special effects. Wow.
How long ago was that film again?
1958.
1958.
Wow. Yeah, 1958. Yeah, 1958. Brilliant. So I've got that. Then this was a long watch. There's 3 films here. The Godfather trilogy. Wow, I've watched this 3 films. Godfather 72, Godfather Part 2 74, and the last one is 1990. Now, I absolutely love the first Godfather. It's always a film I really enjoyed. The second one gets a lot of praise as well, and quite rightly so. But I always have that special affection for the first one. I think it's Brando and all the scenes. You know all the scenes that are happening, and I love it because you see Michael changing. How Michael changes. He's come from I think is it the army, and he's got a fresh face, and he volunteers to do that the assassination in the restaurant. it's a wonderful scene that with the police chief and this other gangster leader, and the scenes like that in the first film, and Brando's performance, of course. And the second one is brilliant as well. A lot of people do praise the second one, but for me, it's always been the first one. The third one, which was 1990, is not that. I don't think it's very good at all.
Which cut of the third one did you watch though?
Is there an extended cut? I think this is just a standard cut of it.
I think there are 3 cuts of it.
Is there? Maybe that would improve because the direction doesn't feel the same in this. The character,
it was given a particular name, like Apocalypse Now. All
the various cuts of it.
It's got a particular name for it.
Yeah.
For me, the third one is the weakest, but I still enjoyed it. It's just that I thought a lot of years had gone by between the second and the third one.
Yeah.
And, I dare say the director,
yes, I felt the director and even Pacino. It's almost like he was doing the role, but it didn't feel the same as in the other two. It was almost like he may be kind of going through the motions. Maybe it was part of the script.
Yeah, I think maybe it's because the first two was so set with between what was going on then and then the past, right?
Yes, yeah.
And the third one seemed so clean and crisp.
Yeah.
And no real reminiscing about what happened in the past. It came across very linear,
I felt it didn't have enough heart in it. You know what I mean by that? The characters were just, there was something very wrong with it, the way it was done. And even Pacino's performance, maybe the new characters as well that were vying for the position were not as good characters. I don't know. It just didn't seem for me to work, which is a bit sad. But if there's other cuts to it, it might have improved it. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll stick with what I've got the 50th anniversary, so I've got all the cuts, and the box set that I've got has got some art prints of the portfolios of the main actors, which are gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah.
I'll stick with what I know, which is I love the first one. The second one, it seems to be a bit long, but I liked it. I liked it. I especially like the going back to sort of like 1912 and on the
De Niro's.
Oh, the De Niro. I liked all of that.
Yeah.
And the third one just seemed like it was a local, proper now gangster of that time with no back of his previous life, how he got to where he was. So it seemed very much like it had no heart to it. Like the first got a heart, I think.
I've just felt Pacino was not as good in it. Maybe it was the script, but I don't think so. I just think he didn't seem to have the same commitment to the character in the same way as he did in the first two versions.
Are you going to do a review of that one, Ian? Are you going to do a review?
I don't know yet. I've had a bad week, and I've not really felt like doing it. I managed to do one at Titanic one.
Do you think? Well, you've seen a lot of gangster films, then.
Yeah.
Just give me a 1 minute where it fits in with the gangster films that you've seen. Does it fit near the top? Is it a middling one? Is it at the bottom because of the third one?
I'd say it's up there with the great gangster films, particularly the first one. The first
I think it deserves to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I like the reason is I think I like the storytelling, the direction. The actors are important. They've got a good set of actors involved.
Oh yeah, Talia Shire. My God, in a very early role from. that was Rocky's girlfriend. Talia Shire.
Oh right, yeah.
So she's great in it. She's in it all the way.
And Robert Duvall, wow.
Wow, what a great actor he is anyway.
He's there and he's wonderful. I like his character's really interesting, isn't he? He's the legal one who just sorts out all legal stuff. there's something about it, and Brando's performance, you just cannot argue it.
Yeah.
It's a great performance, and there's something about that first film that we're seeing. And what fascinates me about it as well is I love all like religious imagery, and it's interesting how all these gangsters are into the Catholic Church.
Catholic
They're all
rosaries.
controlling the Catholic Church as well.
Yeah, rosaries and Catholicism. I thought it showed a good vulnerability when Brando sort of like was playing around with a little child, and he's around around the grape stuff, and then
wonderful
he collapsed.
Scene.
And he collapsed.
Yeah.
I thought that was very well done.
Brilliant.
I thought, wow, that's
totally agree. You know? Yeah, it's just it's such a good film. It's one of them that even I don't know. It's the storytelling in it. There's so many. It's one of those films, as I said, and I mentioned the scenes. If you've seen it a few times, you know there's things that are going to happen in the film, and you're there, sort of enjoying the next thing that's going to happen. You know it's going to happen, and you know the horse's head. You know the horse's head is coming.
Yeah. So just tell me something. We all know that The Godfather is well known for a couple of things. A, it's acting, who the director is. The other one is the Oscar-winning score by Nicholas Rosa.
Yeah.
How much do you think the music played a part in making that film the God state that it is, really? You know, because I thought the score was great.
Yes.
I
was thinking of you because you've kind of made me now try and listen to scores. You know, as I tell you before, I don't listen to scores that much at all.
Yeah.
But I was aware of the music, and it was a very important part of the film. I definitely think it was, and it's a marvelous film. I can't. The first one, I just absolutely love it. I just think it's a great film. Absolutely.
The second one's close. I think it's just a little bit long. That's all.
Yeah. The second one, well, it is very good. The second one.
It has to tell a tale. This is the thing. It has to tell a tale. And I tend to find that whenever there are trilogies, the middle one always tends to be the one that's longer, right? Yeah. It's almost like we've got to get this in so that we don't have to rush at the end to tell you the end part. You know what I mean? So yeah,
it's funny how we've discussed this in previous weeks, haven't we? Why is the third film always the one? There are a few exceptions, but why is the third film always not so good? Why is it always lower?
I don't know if it's studio interference. I don't know if it's a lack of ideas. I don't know if it's how do we bet. It's their own problem. We've got to do better than the last one, and then they concentrate so much that they ruin it. Where it was when the second one that they're making, it's more to do with now we've got to do better than the first one, but they have fun. You know what I mean? We know the roles now. We can easily get into our roles. Now we have fun, but obviously we've got to make it better than the first one. I think by the time a third film comes out, it's like, well, you know the characters, but they've got to do something so unique in the third one that I think they try so hard and they fall short because all they had to do was just relax and it would have probably been all right. You know, they just tried too hard. I don't know if that's something in Hollywood. I don't know,
but do you remember we said the exceptions last week, and of course Indiana Jones, the third film with Sean Connery, goes against saying that the third film is the bad one. That's it's a great film, isn't it? The Last Crusade. But I'm afraid generally you tend to think, oh, it's third film, it's not going to be as good. You've almost got that expectation now. You think, oh, it's not going to be as good, and generally they're not as good, are they? They just.
Although I actually like Back to the Future 3 compared to more than Back to the Future 2.
Oh, interesting.
Then again, that's because I like westerns.
Yes. Yeah.
So it just makes me chuckle a little bit. You know? But I mean, to name my character that I like, Spider-Man, when Sam Raimi was doing the trilogy, everybody knows that the first one was great. The second one was, oh my God, how good is this? And the third one was, what's this shit? Generally, that's what everybody said. When people look back at Spider-Man 3, they're a little bit more apologetic actually about it. They're not quite so hard.
Yeah.
But Sam Raimi turned around and said, I made a crap film, and I opened my hand up and I say I did. But he said also there was studio interference. I didn't want certain characters to be in it, and they forced me to have them in it. I had to write the script over and over again differently. I added too many that meant I added too many characters into it. That made it very convoluted, muddled up, so many plots going on at once that basically I just ruined the film. The second one is more the essence. It's like one villain, those characters again, same musician. We're all back to, and now we know how we're going to do all the effects. So of course, I made a great film. He said he would have fixed it all in the fourth film, but unfortunately,
There was no fourth.
all the execs came along and said that they wanted to do this and that with it, and he said, "Do you know what? That's what you did with the third one. I'm just not interested." As much as I love, he actually said, "As much as I love the character and I'd love to stay on and do it, if you keep turning around and saying I've got to have this in it and I've got to have that in it." When I've actually, because he actually is a collector of Spider-Man. He's got Spider-Man comics. He legitimately read them as a kid, all of that sort of stuff. It was a dream project for him. That's why he was on 3 of them. It's terrible when you've got a director as good as him and a visionary of a director as well on how things need to be done, culled by a company that basically just wants greed. They just want money. They want the spectacle. That means the spectacle means that we've got to have even better than last time and more of it and all this sort of stuff without thinking the director knows the pace. And you're going against pace. You are going to ruin this. And that's what happened. A little known fact. Danny Elfman fell out with Sam Raimi in that film.
Oh,
you have a look, and it says music. It says two composers.
Oh,
got Danny Elfman and what's his name? The bloke who did the Fly score. Oh Christ, Chris. Oh, Christopher. Oh, it's Christopher. It'll come to me at the end. But anyway, in other words, 2 people did the score because they used part of the score that Danny did because he did about half of it, and then he had a big argument. And he went, "I'm buggering off. Do what you want." They made up 5 or so years later, but just think how much pressure must have been in it that a collaborator as long as Danny Elfman has had with Sam Raimi makes them fall out.
Yeah.
That's how much that film was really production wise. It was a mess.
Yeah.
Too much pressure. Anyway, we got comments yet?
Yeah. There's just one thing I want to just mention before I go to comments is that I managed to get a good copy because it's gone on to streaming of Maxine. My opinion of Maxine, I can't wait now. I'm still going to buy it, but my opinion of Maxine is still the same. I absolutely love it, and it's just such a good film. It's one of my favorite films that year.
I'm looking out for the pre-order of it. I tell you what keeps coming up in my alerts, and that is this Godzilla -1. If I see another alert that says you can order this now, pisses me off. So it was Best Buy last week and it sold within 15 minutes. Today, I got one that said it's at Walmart now. And later on, it's going to be at Amazon, right? You get a Walmart sold out. And Amazon, it's not there yet. So, I mean, all I can say at the end of the day, I don't know. I think the hype trail on this particular film, right, is working wonders for them because all the time, they're doing it in bits instead of actually saying all of these suppliers are going to get this film. They're doing it in bits. They're saying Better Buy can have it, Walmart can have it, Amazon can have it, and it's being done in small territories. Eventually, they will do the world, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's going, "Oh, I've got to get it from America because it's never going to come to the UK. I'm going to get it from America." And they're all ordering it, right? And bloody scalpers, everybody, right?
Oh.
But it's just that it annoys me because people are rushing now and getting frustrated.
Yeah.
And now then it turns into a mission. I will get it. I'll stay up till 1 a.m. if I have to for an alert on it. Do you know what I mean? It's like this. That's unhealthy. That's that FOMO thing again, where it's fear of missing out. You know what I mean? Is the film worth that much that you're actually mental health is affected because you're not getting enough sleep? You're staying up till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
watching your phone for an alert.
Yeah, that's bad.
All
Not
because
good.
the company that's producing it or distributing it won't come clean and say, "Don't worry, all areas of the world will eventually get this." That's all they're going to do, and then everybody would relax.
Yeah. Okay, let's get on with comments.
The same will happen with Maxine, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to get hold of it anyhow. So, Danny Duke, hi, how are you doing? I am good. Well, nice to join us. And then we've got Cy Robson. Evening, Cy. Thank you for joining us.
Beautiful Cy Robson.
And then Danny Dukes, Cy Robson, I mate. Cy Robson, I Danny. Cy Robson.
That was it.
Hooper. There you are. We always get somebody who knows.
When the Fall Guy was at the pictures, I actually said it's Hooper, right? I kept saying it's Hooper. This film's Hooper. Yep. I remember all the clips on Tiswas. They kept showing the famous stunt of going around this and everything blowing up around this red car going around this film set. It's basically the Fall Guy is Hooper.
Yeah. Brilliant. Steve's Gaming. Hello, you pair of old buggers. Thank you very much.
See what I mean? He's even saying that to you now. Look, this is why I like Steve so much, because he just says it as it is. Yeah, you bastard. Go take that up, you. Yeah.
Cy Robson. Rebecca Ferguson from Dune and Mission Impossible is in the White Queen. There you are. Thanks,
I'm looking forward to seeing it. It was £3.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. Mark Fletcher, I rewatched Blade Runner today. First time since it came out. Wow. I forgot how prominent the product placements for Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah.
TDK were in it. Can you guys remember any other placements in films? Isn't it the Bond films? Which one is it that has lots of?
Well, no, the biggest one that everybody remembers is Wayne's World.
Oh, I've never seen Wayne's World. I've never seen it.
I mean, there's even a comic joke about it that he said about Great Poo Pod. It was but he also holds up a can of Pepsi and says it's just for the taste.
Yeah,
I mean, it's full of product placement. Then you've got all the Marvel films that came out for Phase 3 or Phase 2. Every car was an Audi.
Oh, I wouldn't have noticed.
I'm pretty sure. I'm just trying to think now. There's loads of comic placement, product placement. I'm just trying to think of what they are. Bloody hell. Oh, iRobot. Yeah, iRobot's got product placement in it. That's about speakers, if I remember rightly, on that one. Oh, bloody hell. Happy Gilmore. That's got product placement in it. That's the golfing one with Adam Sandler.
All right.
Oh, of course. Harold and Kumar go to White City for burgers. That's going to a fast food restaurant. That's got no end of product placement.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Oh, some more will come to me, but yeah, there's tons of product placement. It pisses me off. Be quite honest. But I just want to say to Mark, thank you very much, Mark, for being, for all the comments that you left. Blade Runner, what a film.
Yeah.
I know it's got people that don't like it and all of that sort of stuff, but as far as I'm concerned, when that film came out, it had such an effect on me, and it still does now.
Totally agree.
just the beauty of how that film
Wonderful film.
how
It
well
was an
lit that film is.
experience. How often do you say that about a film? An experience. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It really was.
I mean, I know people will turn around and say boring crap.
Nah,
But
bah.
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's what you get out of a film. It depends on,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I'm never going to turn around and, you know, because we all like our own things. I
Yeah.
can only talk from my own experience of it, and that film is a great film.
Yeah.
Somebody else, somebody will turn around and say, I don't know what you see in it. And I could probably talk for an hour saying what the good bits are, and the person
Yeah.
would say, sorry, just don't get
Yeah.
it. And that's
Yeah.
fine because,
Yeah.
you know, obviously you've got to open your mind. You know, you gotta
Yeah.
you got to go past the negatives of what you didn't like it the first time to turn it around into a film that you'll like the second time. And if you're not willing to do that and you just keep concentrating on the negatives all the time you're watching it the second time, you're never going to change your opinion of it. So you've got to clear that mind to do that.
Yeah.
It's like what wine people do with clearing their palate when they're taking lots of glasses of wine.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
got to clear your palate. There you go.
Cy Robson, I'm gutted that I've had to cancel my trip to watch The Godfather Part 2 because there is a planned protest on Saturday, which is just less than 100 meters away from the cinema. I'm so sorry about that.
That's so disgusting. All this
It's
protest.
awful. I'm not going to go into those protests, but
yeah.
God, yeah, it's terrible.
It's all over the news. All I can say to you, Si, bloody hell, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that is awful. Yeah,
maybe they'll reschedule it.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
It's a powerful enough. It's a powerful enough film that I hope they do.
Yeah. Danny Dukes, Cy Robson, that's not good, mate. No, it's not. Sorry to hear that. The country is a madhouse recently. Yes. Danny Dukes, I just hope they'll screen it again because of the situation. Yeah, they might well do. I think, you know. Cy, I hope so. Mark Fracture, it definitely is. Cyrus, Andy Garcia is the best thing in Godfather 3. Oh, yeah. Yes.
There are some good performances. You know, like I said, there's Talia Shire is in all three films. She's a lot older and she's only got really a smaller part in the third film because obviously everybody's aged and people have left him. You know, I mean, that was his wife. You know, I mean, they, you know, they remarried and all sorts of stuff. So, of course, yeah, he is the best thing because he's all the way through it. He's solid. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Mark Fletcher says, saw a frightening quote from one of the nutters, they can't lock us all up.
Oh, for God's sake.
It's pathetic, isn't it? Wow. Yeah, Cy says, Cy, I know that it's not a trilogy, but Thunderball is the third film in the Bond series, and it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I like Thunderball. Yeah. Sometimes it gets a lesser sort of appreciation, but yeah, I think Thunderball is a good film.
Yeah, whenever they talk about Thunderball, I think mostly they talk about Tom Jones and the main title track.
Yeah.
But saying that, yeah, that's the one with the little helicopter in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the one. They show that a lot, don't they? And when they show clips of Thunderball, he had what did he call it? He gave the little helicopter a name as well, didn't he? What did he call it? That little gyro plane, you know?
Yeah. Oh, the gyro thing. Oh, yeah. I think Thunderball is just an enjoyable film. It's just a film that you just sit back and enjoy. Definitely. Sarah Robson, sorry, it's Goldfinger, and that's the best Bond movie.
It bloody well is. Yeah, I've told you.
Goldfinger definitely one of the best.
Remember when we were talking about Bond last time, and I said, well,
that's right. Yeah, I know. Everybody's always going to mention Goldfinger.
Well, it's in godlike status because even Corgi made a deluxe version of the car.
Of course. Yeah.
And,
it is.
The little man that ejects and all that sort of stuff. I mean, every kid had that.
As I said, for me personally, You Only Live Twice is my absolute favourite Bond film, but Goldfinger is up there, definitely.
You Only Live Twice.
Stephen Moles, Ian and Delboy, have you checked out the Signal One website? Blu-rays for £5 and £7. No,
Yes, I
I've
have.
not had a look.
I knew about it about 4 or 5 days ago. It was actually somebody else that I think somebody messaged me and they said, "Did you know that they're just like you know where we when I told you about that other whatever the label's called, you know where they did Rillington Place and now I've forgot what it's called.
Oh, Indicator.
Indicator. Well, you know when they did all their sales and they were all a fiver.
Yeah.
Somebody came up to me and said another one that's that's quite well known is doing stuff for a fiver. So I went there, but most of the stuff that I wanted was sold out. You know, they had Death Race 2000. It says sold out. You know, all of this sort of stuff. But if I remember rightly, I did order 3. They haven't arrived yet. One of them has got Sigourney Weaver in. I think it's called Eyewitness. That's got Christopher Plummer in it as well, I think.
Oh, a good actor, Christopher Plummer.
Cherry 2000 I bought. Because
Yeah.
I've only got the DVD of it. It's not a good film, Cherry 2000, but I ordered it.
Yeah.
Yes, and I ordered Houdini.
Oh, right. Tony Curtis.
Yeah. And the reason I bought that was because the Boston Strangler was sold out.
Oh yeah, what a film that is.
I bought Houdini, but I was, obviously I'd have bought the Boston Strangler.
Yeah. I reckon the Boston Strangler often gets missed out, doesn't it? As you know, when people are talking about serial killer films, they forget about that. And it's such a good film, isn't it? It's brilliant.
You see Tony Curtis in a totally unique
light. Amazing.
He's always got his cap on, like he's like all those people that used to do little jobs in apartments. You know what I mean? You know, they look like they're going to fix the boiler or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the family life is not looked at very, very closely. But he obviously goes into, he gets caught, and then obviously it all unravels for him because he doesn't realize he's got a split personality. It comes out of him.
Yeah.
When his wife, he suddenly turns when his wife turns up. You know, I think it's because he used to beat her up and all of that sort of stuff. But it's a great. It's almost done like a comic strip. You know, they split the film up and they show the detectives and then they show him while they're interviewing. In a shot. I love that film. Yeah. And like I said, I'd have bought that, but it was sold out.
Right.
Okay, are you going to check that out at the end?
Yeah.
Might need to write it down then. All you got to do is write Studio 1. That's all you got to do.
Mark Fletcher says, do you think you would be able to watch a film in the future if someone made one about what's going on today? I just wish people would just remember we all bleed the same color blood. I think that's perfectly well put. You put that. I can put that better. That is so true. Yeah. Actually, to be honest, I've avoided all the news this week. I just had enough of it. I just don't want to see the news. And normally I do watch the news. I'm just not bothered. I am bothered, but I don't want to know about it. I don't want to know about it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I fell asleep yesterday, so I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Today, I wanted to stay awake because of today's blog.
Yeah.
Today's chat, I say. And I purposely stayed awake. And, all that happened was I went over to the computer to do something, and I had the news going on in the background, on the telly. I wasn't watching it, and that made me stay awake. But I could hear all the news, and it was just atrocious. It was just awful.
Exactly. Yeah. Mark Fletcher, I love my giant monster films, but the trouble I had with Godzilla X Kong was that when the monsters were fighting, I lost the sense of scale. It's interesting. They don't show enough people aftermath.
Yeah,
that's an interesting point, that, isn't it?
So Marvel touched upon this when the first Avenger film ended, where this alien invasion came down and the whole bloody world of New York was all the buildings, all these creatures were smashing the building. They addressed it in Spider-Man Homecoming by saying that there was a special company that was made up to try and fix New York, and it was being partially funded by Tony Stark. And this is where they were getting all the alien technology from, right?
Yeah.
It's based on a 4-part comic that Marvel came out with, which was a fun thing. It was supposed to be a fun idea that nobody talks about the aftermath of all these fights, right? You see all these graphic people doing fantastic fight scenes and all of this sort of stuff. And you know, Spider-Man being smashed through a glass pane and then through a wall and all this sort of stuff. And you go, how do you claim on the insurance on that? Right?
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, you don't think about it, but as an adult, you go, bloody hell, you know, there's a heck of a lot of buildings that get smashed up here, and they build them bloody back up fast and all. So they addressed it in a Marvel comic, and just think about it in Godzilla, and you watch all of the Japanese ones, which, by the way, the early ones are my favorites compared to the new Godzilla ones. There's always mass destruction, and you know what? Tokyo just builds it back up. Godzilla comes back and smashes it all down again. But what I'm trying to say is, just like Mark is saying there, it would be nice that they sort of like just for 5 minutes split up over the whole of the film. You follow the family and how it affected them. You know, like their whole. You know, then they had to walk away from their building. They lost all their possessions. And then when the monster and the fights are all over, they have to go back and see the damage. And then what's going to happen to them is all up in the air. It would be really nice that there's a homage to that. But they don't do enough. They don't do enough of that.
I don't think they do. No. It's a shame. It just adds something extra at the end, I think.
Yeah.
Important. Yeah. Right. Mac and Me was a massive McDonald's commercial. There you are.
Do you know what? I think I've seen that film, but it's such a long time. It sounds a lot more like macaroni and cheese.
I'll tell you something. I know this is a bit different, but isn't McDonald's expensive? I was looking how
if you heard in my blog, I went to Burger King and I went 12 quid for a meal.
Yeah, but it didn't used to be like that.
I don't know if that's expensive now or not. You order a pizza these days, and because they do these 2-for-1 deals, you don't know quite really how expensive it really is. But if you go into Domino's, I couldn't believe this, and you don't go on when there's a special promotion on. One pizza's 18 quid. Bloody hell! I remember the days when you were able to take your girlfriend in for a steak dinner and come away with change when you had 18 quid there. It was like 8 quid.
It's like it's true.
You know what I mean? You go to a Bernie Inn. You know what I mean?
Oh, the Bernie Inns. God, you're showing your age there, lad.
All right. I know I'm old.
But it must be since pandemic that all this, they've given an excuse to shove the prices up or something. I was shocked because McDonald's was a place you went to because it was cheap, wasn't it? You know, the 99p burger. I bet that's gone now. Yeah.
They used to always turn around and say they had the 99p line. You could have a 99p burger, 99, all of that sort of stuff. Then there was for the kiddies the Happy Meal, and that was always like $3.99 or something like that.
Yeah.
Now you go in there, and I think the Happy Meals are the price of a main adult meal.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, because of the little toy or whatever that's in it.
Yeah. Oh, a shame. So Steve's Gaming. Ian and Del, what was the first film you watched that gave you a nightmare? For me, it would be either Phase 4 or Demon Seed. Not sure which I saw first.
Well, you've got further back to think, haven't you?
I don't know. This sounds
I'm taking the piss all the time out of your
No,
age.
no, it's true. Actually, I am trying to think. I know it makes me sound. I
Well,
don't know
I've got
whether a
the,
film
I've got,
has
I've
ever given
got,
me a nightmare.
I've got the boring one, which I've mentioned a
Yeah.
million times, which is the very first Fly film with the
Oh yes. Yeah.
with the fly with the human head trapped in a web, and the spider coming down to finally crunch its bloody great big fangs into it. And Vincent Price gets a rock and smashes it with a rock, doesn't he? He kills them
Yeah.
both, and he says,
Yeah.
yeah. But that the only reason it is I have nightmares is because of the sound that the little fly made. It went, help
Yes.
me,
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I was going, bloody hell, that's scary. I mean, it's like,
Uh-huh.
but I saw that film when I was what, 6?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think which one gave me nightmares.
I can't say I've ever had a night. I know it sounds
That's what I
awful, but
mean.
I've
I don't think I've ever woken
not
up
had a nightmare
going,
about a film.
you know, Steve obviously, is a bit
Uh,
temperamental
uh,
with his emotions and
uh,
phase 4 and
um,
I'm taking the piss out of him now.
there
Little
are. I mean, there are films.
Little ants scare you, do they?
Yeah.
I know what to do now. I'm going to put a cardboard box full of ants and put them in your letterbox.
I'd say there are scenes in films which have kind of frightened me, or I've thought, God, I don't want to watch that again. I never want to see that again. And I think the main one is always Scum, the rape scene in Scum. I always just,
No, yeah.
I just hate that seeing that. I don't watch it. Scum. It may be a good film, but it kind of puts me off when I think of that scene. That
It's
to
a
me is
horrible,
proper nightmare.
it's a horrible thing to think about anyway, isn't it? That word rape,
Yeah.
whichever way you look at it. We've got to talk about it because it's a subject matter that we shouldn't be scared of talking about.
No, that's true.
But I do I get itchy feet and and itchy teeth every time I hear the word. I mean, it's not a nice thing. It's just
a brutal film, and that just sort of tops it all, doesn't it? It is a brutal film, and it's quite, it's that sort of stuck in my mind. But I've never had nightmares about it. But
yeah, I think nightmare is it's a bit difficult because I've had flashbacks of films, but I've never abruptly woke up with hot sweat.
Yeah.
Oh, it was that film that I
Yeah.
watched the other night. I've never done that.
No.
That's never happened to me in my life.
No, same here. Yeah.
But I mean, I have had vivid memories of the fly in a dream. You know what I mean?
Of
So
course,
I've had that.
Yeah. So Steve Moles, Thunderball is the 4th movie.
Yeah, because he said he tricked himself. He said Goldfinger was the 3rd.
Yeah.
Was the 4th.
Cy Robson, I know my bad. I think that might be lad.
So I don't even think about bad. The amount of mistakes I make per stream on this. So
Steve Moles, have any of you seen the movie Biggles starring Peter Cushing? No, I've not.
Oh, it had a famous single called "Do You Want to Be a Hero?"
Oh,
right. Biggles keeps traveling back in time. It's set in normal time, and then back when Biggles was a pilot, because it's based on the comic Biggles. They even made a Commodore 64 game of it.
Yeah,
I played back in the day.
As a child, I remember Biggles books everywhere. There were loads of Biggles books. To be fair, I never really.
Well, we were surprised back in 80. What was it? It must be 85.
Yeah,
that film came out. Right? It was like, who knows Biggles?
Yeah.
In 85, I mean, it wasn't like the comic was around. Like, because I mean, even then there was a little Commando book. You remember we talked about your
Commandos? Yeah, still remember.
Was there a British comic out at the time called Biggles? No, there wasn't. It was all a wartime hero type thing. It was just So they must have had the rights and they were going to lose them or something. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is, but it's made in that same mold as like He-Man. It's
Oh,
got
right.
really,
Yeah.
it's made by Canon or someone like that with very poor
Yeah.
special effects. It's got some time weapon that does blue light laser type things, and it
All
sends you
right.
back
Yeah.
to the past, and then you're helping Biggles in the past, and it's
Yeah.
it's his grandson. That's right. It's his grandson that keeps traveling through time.
Oh,
The
it sounds interesting.
So there's a connection to it. Yeah,
It's not a film I've heard people mention. First time I've heard people mention it. Yeah.
I forgot Peter Cushing was in it.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love Peter Cushing, don't I? Great. But yeah, sounds interesting. That.
Do you want to be a hero? Was the track? Yeah. Do you want to be a hero?
Sai says, Steve Wells, is that where they time travel between the 1980s
Yeah,
and
there
World
you go.
War One? Yeah, you see, it makes it sound even more interesting. Definitely.
Yeah, it's his grand.
Yeah.
The connection is it had to be a family member line, so I think it was his grandson.
Yeah, that's good. I watched Doc Savage last night. I haven't seen that film in years.
Hang on a minute. We can't have no fear. The man of bronze is here. Ding.
Oh,
Doc
yeah.
Savage. Doc Savage. Ron Eli. What a film.
Oh, it's Rob Eli. Is he?
Ron Eli from Tarzan.
Yeah, I know him from Tarzan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I love that film. I haven't seen it in ages, but I love.
Yeah. Oh, I can see.
Such a cheesy film.
Yeah.
Again, going back to Marvel Comics, they brought out the film adaptation in comic book format, and then did a line of comics of Doc Savage because it's a famous writer, isn't it? Like Tarzan is famously written, isn't it? You know, by an author.
Yeah.
Doc Savage is done the same way. I think actually all the books were drawn by one artist. They were all the same, you know. I mean, he's muscly and gold and all this sort of stuff. It was, you know, like Edgar Rice Burroughs is Tarzan, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've forgotten who Doc Savage is, but yeah, it's one particular one particular author. Yeah.
Stephen Wells says, "Sorry, Robson. Yes, it is, mate.
That's the bit going back in past. Yeah.
Yeah. Cy Robson, Stephen Wells, I always used to rent it out from the video store.
Biggles, yeah.
Yeah. I've not heard anybody talk about that film now. Perhaps there's no release. I don't know.
Do you know what? I'll check for you.
Yeah, you know, there might be a DVD. Might be, probably.
I'll check anyway.
Yeah.
So Biggles film.
Is it around?
Hang on, you can rent it. You can watch it on Amazon Prime.
Oh, right. Oh, well, there we are.
There we go. It's on DVD for definite.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get it on DVD. It's bloody expensive for a DVD. Bloody hell, £11.49. £11.49.
Oh, it is, yeah. No Blu-ray then on that.
I don't see a there is a Blu-ray. It did come out, but it's not available.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, yes, it is. £9.98. How can the DVD
be better than DVD?
Right, yeah. There is a Blu-ray. It's £9.98. It came out in 2015 as a Blu-ray.
Oh, well, there you are.
This is how Amazon works. This is why it annoys me, right? It says you can buy it for £9.98. That's the Amazon price, and it's new. And then it's got to the right of that, used, right? It's in the used column from £28.03.
Oh,
well, who in their right minds are gonna is gonna
pay 28 quid?
28 quid when you can get it for £9.98. How mental are you? You know what I mean? It's like, hey. I just find that mental. I really do.
It's typical Amazon. You're right. It is typical. Steve Moles, Vanishing Act, 1986, starring Elliot Gould, and Fred Gwynn is a good movie which needs a Blu-ray and DVD release. It was only released on VHS and Laserdisc. Oh,
I
right.
think that's what I'm saying. I think I'm just looking now. I think I've got Vanishing Act as the Laserdisc. I'm just checking now.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a look. I'm just typing it in.
It's not even had a DVD release. All right. Ah.
Because I've got them all listed
Yeah.
now. Yes, I've got it on Laserdisc still. Yes.
Wow. I wonder.
I might get the cover out and show that in one of my blogs.
Oh, right.
Well, being as it's been mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know why it's not had a release. Might be usual problems. I don't know. Right. Mark Fletcher. I also rewatched Escape from New York recently. To be honest, I found it so disappointing. For some reason, I felt no sense of excitement at all. Not a patch on Blade Runner. Interesting you say that. Yeah, I can maybe relate a bit to that.
I do. Although they're two dystopian futures, because me and
Yeah.
Dennis talk dystopian future a lot. They're two distinctly different types of film styles. You know, not taking anything away. I love Escape from New York.
Yeah.
It is on a shoestring budget. Blade Runner is from a visionary director. You know, he'd just come off of doing Alien, the Duelist. Even the Duelist in 1977 is, and he won no awards doing the Hovis adverts. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I look at them as two totally different films and like them both for different things.
Yeah.
But if you were to look at how Blade Runner looks and how Escape from New York looks, Escape from New York looks like a setup on a set. You know, there's running through New York with little fires going on and little gangs chasing after you and all of this sort of stuff. The Ernest Borgnine's in it, and he's a taxi driver.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Now there is him driving around, and not once did I think, "Am I actually in a taxi driving in New York?" It looked like it was set in a taxi in the studio, and they put the movement of the car traveling along, you know, by silk screening onto the windscreen on the back. You know what I mean? That wouldn't happen in Blade Runner.
No.
You see what I mean?
No.
Instead of doing shots of him looking out through a windscreen, right? It always shot a beauty shot of the outside. And then if you were to ever look at the cars flying, it was always a shot inwards towards Harrison Ford sitting in the car. Never anything from him looking out.
Yeah.
Which means that they didn't want to do that photography where you've got to silk screen the movie footage onto the windscreen to make it look like
You know what I mean?
Or that if there was, it was very cut down, very shot, very, very minimized.
Yeah.
Not many shots like that. So,
yeah,
I think it's a disservice really to look at the two films, but I understand why someone would, but it's just I wouldn't knock Escape from New York because I really do like it. You know what I mean? The idea that crime has got such a state that they've put a wall around Manhattan. I mean, what a great premise. You know, just like Blade Runner has got a premise. You know what I mean?
I think I understand exactly what you're saying about Escape from New York, but I wouldn't put it as my favorite of those films.
No. I suppose the thing is,
but it is a good film. But I wouldn't say it's a film that I would rate as high as some of the other films. Because the thing is, when you've got such a great lot of films, you know, I mean, what a catalogue of films! There's so many to choose from, and that would be on that, you know. But I understand a lot. I've never seen. And I know I should see it. I should see the other one, Escape from LA, because everybody says it's terrible.
It is. I hate it.
It's terrible.
Well, I use that word terribly. I went to the States, right? and it was the opening film on the Friday that I landed. And I went, oh, I can get to see Escape from LA before anybody else in Britain. I can actually go and see it tonight, right? And I went in to see that film, and I disliked it.
Oh,
quite
really?
quite a lot.
Yeah.
And even now, I remember I was over there for about 3 or 4 days, and people were going. I went to the pictures to see that film. Oh, it was awful. I just thought it's not done very well at all. There's this water scene, there's a big tidal wave, right?
Yeah.
And it looked atrocious as a special effect, and it ruined it for me. Some people have looked back at it and go, it's not as bad as what you think. And actually, if you go back, and you'd get great enjoyment out of it. I think I need to do that, but it's just, I just know how bad it was when I saw it in the pictures. It's just like, I can't bear to sort of do that. So like that with me with that, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from with your analogy. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Anyhow,
I like to escape. Think it like this: I like to escape from New York more than Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh yeah, that's another one, interesting one, because I think Big Trouble in Little China is one that some people think is too weird. I think I don't mind that. I think when it happened, I didn't mind that at all. The sort of fantasy magical bits,
Yeah.
I
had happy memories.
I
had real happy memories of Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Right. Then I saw it with a watch along last year.
I know you did, yeah.
And the consensus was,
I know them.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because we were all watching it together that we've come away with a negative aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because even the person that mentioned we're going to watch this film and recommended it came away going, that weren't as good as what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I've got a funny feeling, it's one of those films where you've got to be in the mood.
Yes.
And if you're not in the right mood, you're gonna pull the film to bits.
Yeah.
And because I always thought to myself as saying, I liked Kim Cattrall in that, if I remember rightly, and I really liked the sort of like fighting the truck driver thing in Kurt Russell and all of that sort of stuff. So why is it that when I watched it, I came away with such a negative to it? I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It definitely wasn't the people I was watching it with.
Yeah.
It was something about the mood of what I was in when I was watching it, I think.
Because I think another time you could watch it and think, oh, actually, this is not bad at all. It's entertaining. It can it's like that, with films, which is good. I think sometimes that we can change our opinions on films and even go back.
I had such fun doing the watch-alongs. The best ones that we watched were things like Basic Instinct. The one I recommended was Kentucky Fried Movie.
Yeah.
And that was received so well by, my friends that I went out and bought Amazon Women on the Moon for them to all have, and that was well liked as well. It sort of like started off a thing.
Yeah, those watch-alongs have seemed to have disappeared now.
They've gone underground, I think. It's just
that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Anyhow, let's have a look. Cy Robson, Mark Factual. What cut of Blade Runner did you watch? Oh,
yeah, there's bloody 4 of them.
Yeah, I've got 5 blooming discs of the different.
I'm pretty sure that there's 4, but by the time that this chat has gone out, Ridley Scott will have probably done
another one. Yeah.
There's a director, there's a final cut, there's the original.
Yeah, the final cut of the final cut.
It's like that. It's a bit hard to keep up with.
Yeah. Mark Fletcher, the final cut. Yes.
Yeah, that's the one I think most people say is probably the one to watch if you've never seen it before. Is watch the final.
It's like I don't mind the voiceover. I don't mind.
Yeah, because that's all it is, isn't it? There's a voiceover
in the cinema.
Harrison Ford didn't like the voiceover at the end, but it was put in and it caused a rift, didn't it? You know,
everybody puts it down. I thought it was good. I like both. I think you can like both.
You've got the flyover of all the green hills and all that sort of stuff with a voiceover. I don't know what's wrong with that, but there you go.
Yeah. But that was the one I saw because that was originally released like that, and then of course I've seen it afterwards. But that was the original one, and I enjoyed it. But the ending always did. You could see it just being tagged on. I think you could see straight away the ending didn't quite fit in, as we know. Then we've got Frank Holder. That scum scene is horrific for sure. Yeah, it is. It just is. Yeah.
Dead on, Frank, that one, yeah.
Stephen Watts, Ghost Town is a good film from the 80s.
Ghost Town.
Do you know anything about that?
No, doesn't ring a bell. No, Ghost Town.
No.
Ghost Story. I've watched that in the 80s.
Yeah. Ghost Town.
No, doesn't ring bell.
No. All I know is the specials. I think the song "Ghost Town."
This town. Oh,
that's right. Yeah,
like a ghost town.
That's it, 1980s. But I don't know of a film called that. But you can let us know a bit more about it. Will be
it doesn't ring bells with me. I mean, I'm usually quite up on things, but
Matt Fletcher. I like Blade Runner because I could almost imagine it happening in the street level world of Judge Dredd. Interesting. It's got that grim and grimy feel. There is something about it that I get exactly what you're saying there.
Yeah.
That's what made it so. You could believe that people had gone off to other planets and Earth was now all messed up like this, and this is what Earth was like. It's a wonderful.
That's what happens in Blade Runner, isn't it? I mean, if you listen, there's a tannoy that's always in the background saying the off-world colonies.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
It is set on Earth. The off-world colonies is something that they use to promote the film Soldier, which is a terrible film.
Yeah.
I found it enjoyable, Soldier, but it's a terrible film.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, when people talk about the film Soldier, they think about it as being it's set in the same universe, but it's not anything to do with Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Right? So less said about Soldier, the better. But Judge Dredd, it's interesting because Judge Dredd is a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
I really liked Judge Dredd as a character when I heard about his arch enemy, which was called Judge Death, which apparently is a judge that came back to life and he's got a skeleton type face. And I thought, wow, Judge Dredd with his chiseled looks and that big elf. And then he's going against Judge Death, who's a horrible looking skeleton with flesh sort of like and all that. And I thought, what a great character, Judge Death.
Yeah.
I judge you and I judge you to death.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
Fantastic.
As a kid, that would be really good.
It's the Grim Reaper as a copper.
Basically, Grim Reaper as a copper,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they all turn around and say the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd film's atrocious. I found it funny. It shouldn't be funny, but I found it funny. Just like I found Demolition Man funny.
Yeah. It's entertaining. That's it. It's not, it's just entertaining, isn't it?
All anybody remembers about Sylvester Stallone and Judge Dredd is him saying, "I am the law."
Yeah, that's right.
That's all you ever hear him. Anybody remembering it? But it had a great big massive robot in it. That was great. It was all about clones. That was a good story.
Yeah.
It was sort of like a cyberpunkish type thing, a futuristic world, but everything's made of clockwork. You know what I mean? You got parts bolted on and welded. They don't look like shiny robots like Star Wars or anything. They look
Yeah.
like they've been hobbled together with bits with a welding gun. Do you know what I mean? There you
go. Right. Sorry, Robson. Jaws gave me nightmares. Oh, yeah.
I don't think Jaws ever did for me.
No, it didn't me, but I can understand that various scenes.
Yeah, that one scene that made me jump.
Of course,
is the scene that everybody remembers that makes them jump,
exactly.
which is the head popping up through the hull of that boat.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I mean, we've heard all the stories, haven't we, about Jaws from various people?
Yeah.
But it's a great. It is one of the all-time greatest films ever made, and I know why people have it in such high regard. When people say about nightmares, I never got scared of going into the water. All of that. I don't know what it is. It's just never really bothered me that much. But it's a darn good film. What a film!
Yeah. Oh, it's an excellent film.
I think Jules scared me more than Jaws.
But I think it's not my favorite Spielberg film. Far from it.
But I think Jules. I think the reason Jules scared me more than Jaws is I never lived near the seaside.
Yeah.
And I see all the time trucks.
Yeah.
So I can imagine a truck always, following me down the motorway and trying to hit me off the motorway late at night or something. Yeah. So I can understand why Jules probably scares the shit out of me.
Actually, it's very clever, is Jules, because it's a simple concept, a very simple concept, and it works.
Yeah, I'm going to overtake this guy, and I'm going to feel really good about it. And then later on, that truck driver goes, "I'm going to have you back for overtaking."
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, that's the simple premise.
Yeah. Stephen Taylor, good evening, gents. I know somebody who goes around the charity shops buying DVDs for the sole purpose of taking them to CX to make a profit. Do you think that's morally wrong?
I had that question before, Stephen, and I've already answered it, which is no.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and I told my friend this, because he had a comment that somebody asked him the same thing. There have been for years and years and years no end of people going to car boot sales, buying things for 5 pence, taking them to Kex and getting something like £5 for them, right? And if you go into a charity shop and you buy something that was £1, and you take it to somewhere else and you get a voucher for £5, all you're doing really is moving the stock from one place to another, and somebody else can buy it, but they have to buy it at a higher price. But then again, they have the opportunity to buy it. The other thing is, I don't know of anybody that's seen something on the shelf, took it to the counter and said, "By the way, love, you could sell this for £5. I just thought I'd let you know," and walk out the store.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So how can it be morally wrong? I think you'll find that it's very difficult to do that anyway these days, because all the charity stores are looking on the market so bloody close.
They're getting very sharp.
They're actually selling these things at close to what the prices are.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make a comment like that, you've got to talk about the people that did this with car boot sales and have done that for years.
Yeah.
I saw this one guy, no word of a lie, about 2 weeks ago, a car boot sale thing. He collects Dyson Hoovers, right? And he was buying all these Dyson Hoovers at these car boot sales. He bought them for 15 quid. They all had, they said, "Oh, it works, but the handle's getting a bit loose," and all of that sort of stuff. Every time he bought a Dyson Hoover, underneath it said potential profit. And it kept going up, right? And I was going, what's this potential profit? It's because he was going to go home, fix them, and sell them at like 80 quid.
Yeah.
Well, bloody hell.
Mm.
Is that bad? I bought a Hoover for 15 quid, sold it for £80. How morally is that then? Well, you bought it from somebody who legitimately thought, I want to sell that. 15 quid's about probably the going rate there. If somebody is mad enough to spend 80 quid on it, because he was buying Henry Hoovers and all sorts of stuff from this place. He was buying anything electrical. In fact, he bought an air fryer for about £40, and he put down, "I'll fix that, get 120 quid for it," because air fryers are big now.
Yeah.
They're all over the shop, air fryers.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, the simple answer to that is, There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's my
Nothing.
answer. You've said it all, really. I totally agree with you.
Oh, the other thing is, you remember the other day when I went and bought the 4 copies of Only Fools and Horses? And I said in my blog, I think I got one version of that already at home, but I
Yeah,
bought 4 because I couldn't remember. You know
yeah,
what I did? I took my second copy because I did have one
yeah,
at home. I
yeah,
took that to the charity store and said, "You can have that, my love, because I bought a box set which has got all 4
yeah,
of them. Please put it on your shelf to sell." I could have took it into Kex, but at the end of the day, I thought, well, I took it back to a charity
yeah,
store, same charity store in another town. That was it. I bought it from Birmingham and I took it to Bicester, right?
yeah,
But I gave it them, and they put it. They can then put it on their shelves and give a quid. That's probably a good way of doing things. But at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong either with going into Kex and saying get $3.99, for it, whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Great. Stephen Mull says, I would love to see a movie of Dan Dare. Oh, yeah, that's Bring Out the Eagle. God, yeah. Has there been anything, an animated
And
thing?
there
Or
are the Mekon.
no.
There's been computer games. There's been comic books. I don't think there's been an animated film, and I don't think there's been a film. I don't think anybody's bought it. It was Eagle comic, wasn't it? Dan Dare.
Yeah,
Eagle.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Oh.
if they did it now, they would update it and it would lose its originality and its charm. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
that's another reason they don't do it. You could
It was just
imagine.
I can just imagine it's really weird because he used to, if I remember rightly, he would go off in a rocket and he could actually walk on the moon with no air apparatus.
Oh, of course.
It was like parts of the moon had air.
Yeah, yeah.
I never really did understand that.
Yeah.
It was always the Mekon that he was against. And that
The
was the
Mekon's a good villain. Good
yeah.
villain, yeah.
And I thought the artwork was sublime in Dan Dare.
Yeah.
Comic,
Let's have a look here. Mark Fletcher. They could make a good Mekong these days. It was the 2000 AD version, I know. Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't remember it going over to 2000 AD.
No,
I thought it was always Eagle, but
yeah,
then again, no, I'm not infallible. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know it was on 2000 AD. I know they tried to revamp it and it didn't work. They did a more updated version of the Eagle and it wasn't a success because I remember this must have been probably in the 90s. I remember seeing it. It brought out as a comic. It was updated artwork, everything, but it just didn't work. It flopped because probably kids started not to read comics, generally, yeah. Cy Robson, have you ever heard the film Sitting Target from 1972? It stars Oliver Reed and Ian McShane. My mate bought a DVD of it. Well, it's a great cast. Love Oliver Reed.
Oh yeah.
I've not heard of that film. I've not heard of it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Got me again, Si. You're on the ball tonight.
But Oliver Reed is always good value, whatever he's in. Excellent actor. And well, Ian McShane's pretty good as well, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, I told you how much I like Deadwood.
Yeah. Steve Mills, I like watching Blade Runner, the work print version.
Yeah, like I said, there's final cut, director's cut, theatrical cut, and I think there's work print version. Yeah, I know there's about 4. Prints.
Yeah,
and there's all the fan ones. The fan ones have made them as well.
Yeah. Steve Mills, I like Blade Runner 2049 as well. I think a lot of people did. Yes,
I really like Blade Runner 2049, and I thought I would hate it.
Exactly. I think that's spot on there. Though, of course, I know people who say, "Oh, the 2049 version is the best." They don't get on with the original one. They think it's slow and all that kind of stuff. But I think you can like both. I think both. Why not?
It was the very nature of the fact that there was no Vangelis. Harrison Ford was going to be a bit part in it. It was produced by Ridley Scott, but not directed by him. And there was all sorts of things that were going on. I was going, I'm not going to like this film.
Yeah.
And then when I actually watched it, it was like the lore behind, the part of the replicant. That the replicant didn't have a clock that could live forever. Had a baby, that the person that was chasing, the actual son was, going after the mother.
Yeah.
All of that that story was intrigued me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can I say about it?
Yeah.
I suppose it might also be that what people like about Blade Runner as well is they're always trying to figure out, have we really got the right idea about what the film's about? What's the reason behind the folded origami unicorn?
Exactly. There's all that stuff. Yeah.
There's none of that in, I think, really, in Blade 2049. It really is more, you know it all when you've watched it, right?
Yeah. But
Blade Runner, the first one, is more about invoking something in your mind. There's the Rutger Hauer speech, saying,
of course,
I've seen things that basically I'm about to die and they're going to be lost in time forever. They're like years in rain. All of that sort of stuff, and things like and sayings like a light that shines twice as bright, shines half as long. All of that sort of stuff is all hoity-toity, higher up. Oh my God, why didn't I think of a killer line like that? Type thing. And Blade Runner 2049 is more the, I can understand it, whichever level you throw at me. I get it. I understand things like I've been tagged and there's a homing beacon on me and there's all these bombs coming at me, and how all of that, it really is. It's more like watching a Minority Report film. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Futury looking, but very easy to understand, sort of the plot type thing. That Blade Runner's open-ended into interpretation. That's how I look at that.
Yeah, I agree. Steve Moe, Prison starring Viggo Mortensen is a good film worth checking out.
Prison?
I've not heard of that one either.
Oh, for goodness sake. You know what? I'm going to have to sit back and watch this now and start writing down some films, because there's about 3 now and I haven't written one down yet. Jesus Christ. I usually get some crackers out of this. So glad you're around, Steve. You're educating me. Prison.
Yeah.
Story. Right. Are you going to write that one down?
Yeah. Cy Robson, Big Trouble in Little China is in my top 3 favorite movies of all time. Well, that's good.
Thinking back, Cy, I think you were there at the watch along, if I remember right. Like I said, it's one of those weird things that happened that day. We just came away, I think, just going, why is it that I'm not enjoying it this time? I must get back to watching that again by myself.
Yeah, I think you might change your opinion next again. Yeah, I think it's easily done. Easily done. You could be not in the right mood for whatever reason. You can watch it and think, oh, and then it comes back again. So, yeah.
It's so nice as well that he can mention what he's got a free all time.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I find it difficult to come out sometimes with a statement like that.
Yeah, I do. I'm still thinking, when I do these top 5 of things, I can't. It's an impossible thing most of the time, really. As I've said, I know I've done it to you. I've been a sod and said, "What's your top 5 things?" But it's a plumbing. It's a nightmare.
What about Upton? We all know who we're talking about now.
Yeah,
for doing that. Do you know what? I might even ruin his life now, and I'm going to turn around and say, at the end of my blog, I'm now going to put out that I want people to name their 5 top comedians ever.
Oh yeah.
Stand-up comedians.
Yeah, exactly.
of all time. Right? And you
It-
go, 5 stand-up, bloody hell. There's so many of the new ones. There's the old brigade, like Les Dawson. And
yeah,
you've tried doing that.
exactly. Yep.
And then I'll name you just to be a git.
Yeah, exactly. I love doing that for you. Yeah. But I've been kinder recently. I'll say, what
You've
are
been
your
very good.
favorite? I don't always say top 5. It's like I said, jungle films this week. And I think this is your
Yeah.
favorite jungle
Was that
film.
I haven't, because I mean, I take it you'll leave a
Yeah.
comment, but
Yeah.
was that a good answer?
Yeah,
Predator,
I think I was thinking of, just anything you could think of. I knew the obvious one. I went straight to my head was obviously Predator, but it was
Yeah.
nice to think beyond Predator and look
Well,
at
I
the
thought
other
it was because
one.
last week I mentioned Tarzan, and I said,
Yeah,
"Oh,
exactly.
I said I've got my own opinion of Tarzan." I
Yeah,
said, "Oh, what I
yeah,
think is my favorite Tarzan."
yeah,
And I thought, you get so you've
yeah.
you thought about the jungle and went, "What's your favorite 5 jungle films?"
Right. Mark Fletcher. Some TV series I absolutely love, but never seem to see other people raving about. Fringe, The Strain, and Penny Dreadful. All well worth your pennies. Fringe, I love Fringe. I've got the whole series on Blu-ray. It was a great series. The Strain, I don't know. Penny Dreadful, I think I picked it up in some charity shop. I've only got the first series or
Right.
season, whatever, yeah, Penny Dreadful.
Yeah.
And I should get more.
All 3 of those I've seen. Right. Fringe,
Yeah.
I've got them all. Individual seasons. I bought individual seasons of that.
Yeah.
That you know, obviously it's the I forgot his name now, the person who directed the Star Trek reboot. What's his name?
Which one?
You know, the Star Trek reboot, it was directed by
Oh, crikey.
because it's his production company, isn't it?
Oh, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. So it's that was his show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I used to love the theme tune to it as well because it's a piano. It's a haunted piano.
Yeah.
That Fringe. Anyway, Penny
Fringe
Dreadful
was very good. Yeah.
Penny Dreadful, loved it. Right.
Yeah.
3 seasons. It's got Eva Green in it. It's got obviously from Bond, Timothy Dalton.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. The reason I like it is it's got so many little genres of horror in it. It's got a werewolf one, a Dracula one. It's got the bloke who doesn't die because he's trapped in a photograph. What is his name? He's
Dorian Gray.
Dorian Gray, that's it. All of these characters all set around Victorian London. The worst thing about Penny Dreadful is they ruined it by making a one-off spin-off for it.
Oh, I know.
Set around Egypt, I think.
Oh.
It was awful. The Strain is one of those virus zombie things.
Oh, right. Oh.
It ran for about 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I watched the first season, watched halfway through the second season, then basically something happened at work and I never got back to it.
Oh,
and I keep needing to do so.
Yeah.
But out of all 3 of those, I've bought 2 of those complete as box sets, Fringe and Dreadful. Strain, I never did. But the only reason for that is, I think, is because I never watched it all the way through when it was on Sky, when it was being broadcast. But I think there was 3 seasons of it. Yeah. Definitely, it's definitely one of them chemical things alters people's to be some sort of like parasite, zombie type thing that I remember about it. You know, loved it though. I tell you what, yes, not many people talk about Penny Dreadful enough.
Yeah,
I think people talk a lot about Fringe, but don't talk anymore. It's like Lost now. I think people have talked themselves out of it now because Lost got about so much that it's like, we're going to be Lost again, are we?
Yeah.
Fringe is probably about the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
Because you said it yourself, didn't you? Nobody talks about Sliders anymore.
No, Sliders, wow. Yeah.
But then everybody talks about Quantum Leap and no one talks about that much anymore.
Yeah.
Less said about the remake. Although I know some people love the remake of Quantum Leap. Me, I watched it and went, "Oh my god, what's
Did
this?"
you? I couldn't even watch it. I got
You know, you've got
no.
the Ziggy
It
has
just wouldn't be
changed,
the same.
Sam Beckett is not there. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
just no. I couldn't do that. No. There's only one quantum leap.
Yeah, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's it. uh, Fringe is so good. It is. It is. Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
We got some good people in tonight, I tell you
We
now.
are, aren't we?
Yeah.
Some brilliant ones. Si says, Dread with Carl Urban. Oh, is a good Judge Dredd film. There was, I've not seen that one. They did the other one, didn't they? After the Stallone one.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen it. I bought it in. They did a 3D version of it. It was at the
Yeah.
cinema in 3D or normal. When it came out on Blu-ray, it came out on 3D and normal. I bought the steelbook of it.
Yeah.
I think everybody turned around and said what a better film it was to the original. But there was something about it that didn't make it a hit. I've forgotten what it was. I
Yeah.
don't know what it was. Something, because Carl Urban, it was brilliant, and he did a
Yes,
TV
yeah.
series where
Yeah.
he did a very short spin series that was only about 8 episodes long, where he was a policeman and he had to partner up with a robot.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that was brilliant as well. And so many of these things just didn't work. But Carl Urban as Bones is brilliant.
Yeah, he is. Totally agree. Spot
You
on.
know what I mean?
Just
I
spot
thought
on, man.
if anybody could play Bones, it was him.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it would be, because Bones to me has always been that withery, thin, that DeForest Kelly
Yeah.
did so well.
Yeah.
And Carl Urban's quite muscular,
Yeah.
around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like he's a thin, wiry character, is he?
No.
Yeah. Dead on though.
Right. And Frank Alder. I really like the Stallone Dread film. The new one was a big disappointment to me.
Yeah, but I can understand that.
Yeah.
From my point of view, because it's like the first Dread film done with Stallone. So many people were in uproar that because you're not supposed to see Dredd's face.
Yeah,
Stallone's never going to go through a film where you say, "What? You don't see my face? Well, I ain't going to be in it."
Then. Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like that, right? And I think it's got too many sort of like jokes to make it serious. You know what I mean? I don't think it intentionally was supposed to be funny, but it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other Dread film that came out years later, and we have to remember there's quite a few years between the two, was more grounded in the comic. And therefore it comes across more serious. And then from that point of view, if you've never read the comic and you'd only ever seen Stallone's Dread film, you'd say, what's this?
Yeah, yeah.
You'd be scratching your head going, why is this so different to Stallone's Dread? Because not everybody reads comic book lore, or even goes to a film excited to see it because they've read the comic for years.
Yeah.
Some people would have gone, I haven't read any of the comics. I watched Stallone's Dread film and I'm now going to see a reboot of it. And it's like this, is it?
Yeah.
What's this? When actually, when you look at it, the newer Dread film is more like the comic.
Yes, yeah.
Serious tone. It's about dredging and all of this sort of stuff, and a big conflict in a high tower building and all of this sort of stuff, right? And the other Dread film is a bit more jokey, it's cyberpunky, neon-y looking, and it's just about a guy that you can just relate to in the fact that he didn't know who his parents were, and he's a clone, and everything about him is a lie because he was genetically to be a judge. That's what it's all. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Well, I forgot what the project was called. Was it called Project Genus or something? What it was called. Anyway.
Okay.
Cloning experiment thing.
Mark Fletcher, Judge Death and the other dark judges, Fire, Fear and Mortis broke through from another dimension where they reasoned that all crime was committed by the living. Hence, life became a crime. That's an interesting, yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So many great stories in comics that people would miss. Now, Mark Fletcher, you know, I mean, he's read comics, and he told me he collected all the way up to a certain age. I only really read Marvel. I read quite a lot of DC. When I started collecting again, I bought a lot of Batman, and I bought a lot of DC. But it never intrigued me like Marvel.
Yeah.
And 2000 AD, Transformer comics and Zoids comics and all of those sort of things, I sort of read a couple of issues and never got into. So you know, when Judge Dredd came out, I did obviously week by week read a couple, but my parents were never going to give me pocket money enough to buy every comic that was out there, and each week it was 10 pence. I mean, you can see at the background cover now that my Spider-Man comic there was 9 pence in 1978, I think that is. Right. So buying that plus the Marvel Mighty World of Marvel plus the superheroes plus Judge Dredd plus Eagle plus
would be a lot.
I wouldn't be. It became Marvel is the thing that I'm getting every week, and whatever money I've got left over, I'll buy some of these others based on the covers. Generally, it was based on the covers. So sometimes I'd have Eagle, sometimes I'd have 2000 AD, but never on a regular enough basis for me to love the character. So when I did pick up a copy which had Judge Death in it, I went, "Oh wow!"
Yeah.
And it held my attention enough for me to go every week. Now I want to watch this because Judge Death's in it. You know what I mean? I'll follow that story arc, and then I'll stop and get something else.
Yeah.
Not knowing when he was going to show his face again. You know what I mean? Interesting comics.
Stephen Mole says Ghost Town is a 1988 American Western horror film. That sounds interesting. Directed by Richard McCarthy under the pseudonym Richard Governor, and starring Frank Lutz and Catherine Hickland. Oh, interesting.
Does sound good. An American Western horror.
Yeah. It's a. I like the idea of.
Can you name American Western horror?
Yeah. Fantastic
horror.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst one that I can think of is what's that one that's Aliens
Bone
versus
Tomahawk.
Cowboys? No, what was it? Aliens versus Cowboys. Bloody
no.
I mean, what's that all about? I remember going to the cinema and liking it.
Yeah, what's his name's in it? Isn't he? Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I'm not a fan, am I? Right. Anyhow, thank you for that, Stephen Bowles. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Frank Holder at Sim Taylor. And in my opinion, yes, it's morally wrong. Making money off a charity shop is a very low thing to do. That's in question to that.
Obviously, we're a bit divided on that one. I mean, is it morally wrong then what you do that at a car boot sale just because there's no charity involved? The other thing about it is, like I say, I don't know of anybody that, you know, that's actually gone up and done what I've just said, which is go up to the counter and say, "I'm sorry, love, I think you've mispriced this. You ought to put it up by a £5." I don't think anybody's done that. Is that morally wrong then to know that something's a better price and that you don't tell them that they're actually losing money on this? I don't know. I just know that it's moving a product from one place to another, and the charity has lost nothing. The charity put a sticker price on it, £1. You know what I mean? That's what I look at it as. How has the charity lost money because they got the £1 that they wanted for it?
Yeah.
Taxes the people that are enticing you to go in, and then they don't give you £1. It's a voucher. It's like, we'll give you $3.99 in credit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll put it on their
Yeah.
shelf, say £1.50 or whatever it is. I don't know. I have
Yeah.
no idea. But I don't think Frank's in the wrong, and I don't think anybody's in the right or wrong about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interpretation. But I know one thing. I haven't done it. I've not bought something from a charity shop and took it into Kex, right?
No.
But I do know that I've bought an awful lot from car boot sales, and I have gone on
Yeah.
into a charity shop.
Yeah.
Said, you want these? Or I have took a few into Kex and said, how much would I get for this? I know I've done that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what is morally wrong. Giving them a disc that you know doesn't play right.
Yes. Yeah. And
that's where I call it morally wrong.
Yeah.
When you know there's a problem with the disc and you don't tell them.
Nobody checks the discs, do they? Nobody.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that happens. Yeah.
And like I said, today I took in my extra copy of Open All Hours, and I didn't ask for anything for it. I said, you can have this, love. I bought this from another the other day, and you can have it and stick it back on your shelf.
Yeah.
They would have made money off of it twice. Bought it once, they took it to another store, and they've sold it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Now
I hope I go to heaven. But I think I'm going to hell. I've got
the Grim Reaper will be after you.
There you
go. Mark Fletcher, first thing Stallone did in his Judge Dredd film, took his helmet off. You never see Dredd's face in the comics.
Yeah, I told you exactly. That pissed so many people off.
Yeah. Stephen Moles, Trucks is a good film based on a short Stephen King story.
Is that film where all the trucks come to life at a petrol station and they all start bloody trying to kill all the people in the petrol station and they have to go under underground little...
I've not seen that.
Could be. I remember seeing a film on TV that was just like this. All these trucks came to life and they started attacking people in the diner. You know how every petrol station has got a diner built on it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. They have, haven't they?
And they all coop up in this sort of like diner, and underneath the diner is little sort of like attic type walkways that will take you to another part of the petrol station, and they try to find ways of destroying, killing these trucks off. They all come to life. It's like a weird mystic thing that was brought these trucks to life. But I don't know if that's the Stephen King story or what.
It sounds Stephen King-ish, maybe. Maybe it is. Yeah.
Like Christine.
Yeah. Oh, I love Christine. What a film that is. Frank Holder, the Hoover Man I see as okay, as he's using his skill and talent to repair them, which is very different from buying things from a charity shop and then eBaying them for more. Scummy. That's the moral thing again.
Yeah, he's like I said, I'm not going to contradict Frank. I mean, I think Frank's got the finger on the pulse at the moment. But what I will say, I don't like to use the word scummy, but I will say this about that man. Yes, he does repair them, but some of these don't need any repair. And if you look at some of them, he goes, how much is this? And they said it's working order, and he puts it in his truck, and he's got in there what he bought it at, and then he goes, how much he's selling it at, and he didn't do any repair on it. So if he's doing no repair on it, then does that make him that way? Because like I say, it's an open interpretation, and I think really I'll tell you what, I've taught myself out. I've taught myself too much on the subject, to be quite honest. I won't mention any more, but I think Frank's in the right. I'm in the right. Nobody's really in the wrong. It's all an interpretation. That's how I look at it now. So well done, Frank.
Yeah. Steve's Gaming, I agree, Frank.
Yeah.
And Stephen Taylor, I hope your back and leg pain has gone, Delboy. You mentioned your leg was hurting during your trip to Birmingham.
I
Yeah.
mentioned it before to you, didn't I? Thank you so much, Stephen, for thinking about me and everything. You'll see I am moving around on my chair. I am. I mean, it's a pinched nerve with a problem that's in my back that's never going to go away. It's never going to get better. The knee joint can get better. In other words, the pain in the knee. But I've got a pinched nerve at the moment, and the pinched nerve is taking a very long time to repair because it's the gel between the two vertebrae that's split in my back called sciatica. It's basically gone hard, and it's hitting in it. It's sort of like it's like a piano string being plucked, like a guitar string. It's like an electric shock going down your leg. And right now I get twinges of pain.
Mm.
And then there are moments of around about 45 minutes where I feel certainly okay. And then if I get up, it's like walking like Planet of the Apes. I can't get the back straight for a good half a yard, and then I'm walking upright again. You know what I'm sort of like getting at? When you get out of the sofa, you can't put your back all the way up to walk straight. You're sort of walking with a stoop until you eventually do walk for a bit, and you correct yourself. It's a bit like that with me. And thank you so much for people that support me through all of these pains. It's very difficult for me to talk about it. I find it easier to talk about it now, but it was one of those things where I don't want people to know I'm in pain, because I want people to think I'm employable, that they can give me anything to do. Who wants to tell people a weakness? People exploit weaknesses. You see what I mean? But I found it mentally good for me to talk about it. So I will say I've had a good feedback about mentioning my weaknesses. I don't mind people. I wear my heart on my sleeve. If people want to push me down because they know that they can push the button that basically demoralizes me, more power to them. I just turn around and say, how easy is it to know of how to put somebody down? The strength is actually, helping the person get up, as far as I'm concerned. But there we go. Onwards.
Yeah. But no, well said. Actually, you said some good things there. Stephen Moles, I don't deal with CEX. If you buy anything secondhand, I use Music Magpie, of course. Music Magpie, fantastic. Plus, with it being free delivery, it's good for people like me who buys in bulk. Example, I bought 150 movies, free delivery. Wow.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Do you remember at the beginning of this broadcast?
Yeah.
I showed my stuff. I said, look what I got from Music Magpie. Look. No, it was World of Books, wasn't it? I got it from World of Books. 50 pence for a CD, right?
Yeah.
And then I showed you what I bought from the charity shop. I bought that White Queen, didn't I?
Yeah.
I bought the Two Humans. Am I taking them into kegs?
No.
What I'm saying is that when I'm finished with them, I'm probably more likely to go into a charity shop, but I'm probably going to keep them.
Yeah.
I
think actually a good point about CEX, the online CEX, is they charge a lot for postage. It's quite a massive charge. Yeah. So I mean, Music Magpie, free delivery. What can you say? Yeah. The big difference. The postage makes such a difference. But it's a great deal. Absolutely wonderful deal, that. Mark Fletcher, Dan Dare was the center spread story in the very first few issues of 2000 AD in 1976. He was brought back again in the revamped Eagle comic in the late 80s. Yeah, that's the one that I remember it being.
Yeah, I remember it being early 80s for me. But it could be late 80s. All I remember is I remember Eagle coming back, and they said Eagle's back, and I went, whoa.
Yeah.
Right. It even came with a free gift in the first issue.
That's right. It did. Yeah.
But 2000 AD was when I bought on and off.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of UK comics because we couldn't get. It was very difficult to get the American ones. They came in on the boat. They didn't come in from airplane. They were ballast, and they were put on spinner racks at newsagents that were at bus depots. You remember the old spinner rack where you had a wire metal thing with holders where you could put the comics in and you span them round, and they had
Yeah.
Well, those were at the newsagents at the bus depots, and before you were going to get on your bus, your mum would say, "Do you want a packet of sweets? A Twix or something?" And I'd be looking at the comics saying, "Oh, look, Batman, look, Spider-Man," and it would be the American color ones. And then every week I was buying the reprinted black and white ones. You see what I mean? And it was such a joy to go, oh, got the color ones. Look, he's red, he's blue. Look, who'd have thought Robin's green and purple, blah, 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 blah. It was like that. It was like Batman's got a grey and blue. I didn't know he was grey.
Yeah.
What's all that about? Because he was black and white.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Because we had the cheapo knockoff, no color printing for 5 pence. There you go. You know what? It was the best thing you could do because you could color them in.
Yeah, you could do.
It was the cheapest coloring book you could buy.
Yeah.
If your parents were savvy enough to buy 2 copies of it, one to color in and one to read. But, yeah, there you
go. Cy Robson, I was like you, Del, with Blade Runner 2049. I went into it thinking, I'm going to hate this. And I came out thinking that I've just watched one of the best films I've ever seen. I adore it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is like that. It's like, wow, I'm so glad that I opened my mind to thinking, to not having a negative thought about something that's even been seen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mark Fletcher, I meant 1977, not 1976, when 2000 AD started. All right.
Well, how dare you, Mark, get 1 year out? I mean, I'm absolutely that's blasphemous to this channel. You get 1 year out? Oh, go to the back of the club. What a load of crap. Mark, for God's sake, 1 year. Jesus Christ. How many years have I been out with some of the things I've said?
Steve Mills, have you seen the famous 5 done by the BBC? You can buy the Blu-ray, £20, 3 stories. Worth checking out. Enid Blyton's legendary novels are vividly reimagined in this action-packed trilogy. Now, I know somebody who doesn't like those. They've got bad memories of those books. Haven't they, Delboy?
Who's that then? Look, my sister loved the famous 5 and she liked the Secret 7, and she's got all the famous 5 books, first edition hardbacks, and Secret 7. I remember the tune. What is it? We are the famous 5. What was it? Julian, Dick, and Anne, George, and Timmy the dog. Yeah, I mean, I remember the tune because my sister watched it so much, and I had to watch it with her.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that I had a great enjoyment of it, and I could do without it. But I tell you what, if the BBC have upscaled
it, upgraded them, updated it,
cleaned it all up, and it can then be enjoyed by a new audience, 40, 45 years on. Brilliant. You know what I mean? Go knock yourself out, because I tell you what, Denny gets great enjoyment watching Bagpuss, Finger Bobs. They've all come out on Blu-ray, Trumpton.
Yeah.
All of that sort of stuff. They're in my childhood.
Yeah.
I would say that the DVDs would do me, but he goes, "Oh, you want to see them on Blu-ray?" And to be quite, one day I will watch them on Blu-ray. I'll go around his house and I'll say, "Put it on then," because I want to see what the picture quality is like. But I'm not going to go and spend 30 quid on Bagpuss and Blu-ray when I've got things like Atomic Blonde and all those films that I showed you earlier on at that sort of price. but it's each. This is what makes us all different, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
So, I love my childhood, but I just won't spend 30 quid.
yeah, yeah.
On certain stuff. But then again,
We all have to make decisions.
I
on
bought
what we're going to spend
a
this money
whole,
on.
a whole
Yeah.
of Wordle Gummidge for 100 quid. So I do.
Yeah.
So never say never. I did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So Stephen Moles, prison also has Kane Hodder in makeup in an electric chair scene. Oh, sounds interesting. That's in that film in prison they mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, but why is it all making more? Did I do it in a watch along prison? It was all set in a prison that they reopened. The last person that was electrified was done at the prison. They brought these prisoners back to the prison to actually repair it while actually occupying it. And the electrical energy of the last person that was in the prison comes to life or something, and it goes after the warden. There's so many prison films with that sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's all electric chair and that, isn't there? Because the Shocker, isn't there? That's another prison one with a person who died on an electric chair that comes back to life, and isn't there? But you guys know so much about horror that I don't know. This is where I wish I was starting to learn a lot about horror. I doubt that I'll ever know now much more than I do.
I wonder if it's this one, Prison, 1987, directed by Rennie Arlen. With yes, it is Viggo Mortensen. That's it. He mentions the spirit of a long dead prisoner returns.
Yeah, it is that one, isn't it? I watched it in a watch along. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So I have seen it.
Yeah. There you are. Right. So let's go on to the next one. A film that makes me laugh at Mick Jagger's bad acting. Yeah, I know this.
Free Jack, yeah.
Free Jack starring Emilio Estevez.
Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, I know everybody does laugh at it.
I have. That is what I can tell you now. I've seen and went, oh yeah. Oh dear.
And performance, some people as well think as well. Nicholas Rogue's performance, but anyway. Let's have a look. Danny Dukes, Love Sliders and Quantum Leap. The new Quantum Leap is okay. Have the first series on DVD.
Like I said, it's one of those ones where I couldn't get into it. I can see people do, but it's just that for me, it was just a reimagining, and it wasn't a great reimagining, and I just didn't want to. I wasn't. Where I cared where Sam Beckett was going, this guy that was leaping, I couldn't care less.
If you
don't care less after 3 episodes,
then you're in trouble.
What's the point?
Yeah. So I think it get renewed. Does it? I think it
did. It got renewed.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'm in the right, because obviously it's just the first one. With Donald P. Balasarius and Avid Ziggy and all of that. It was so good seeing Sam Beckett dressing up as a girl, and the idea that when you look in the mirror you see what they're actual people that they.
Yeah, that was always special. Waiting for that moment.
My brain, I was imagining what the room looked like, where these people were being held up while Sam was occupying their body. They were awake, talking in the future about where am I? Why am I here? All this sort of stuff. That idea was just so fantastic to me.
It was, yeah. Cy Robson, did any of you watch Channel 4's Gareth Mengelay's Dark Place? It was only 6 episodes, but I found it so funny. And I don't think you mentioned this before. I've heard the title, but I never watched it. But I have heard that.
Garth Marenghi. No,
yeah,
I don't think I've seen it.
No,
I've seen so much stuff, but I don't. I will put my hand up now and say that one doesn't. I can tell you that now. You've got some bloody good stuff in your your belt, Si. I tell you what.
Yeah, you have. Stephen Moles, a great slasher film to check out. The Ripper, 1985, starring Tom Savini as Jack the Ripper. Another Jack the Ripper film. Yeah, they're always good Jack the Ripper films. So many different ones, takes on it.
Yeah, I mean, I still like Time After Time, to be quite honest.
So do I. I would say that is one of the great, all-time great films. Definitely.
I mean,
I like
obviously Michael Caine's two-parter. I told you was probably the best bargain I'd bought.
Yeah.
You know, my friend told me that was brilliant. He was going to send me his DVD version, but then when Network went bust and somebody bought them, they brought out the same Blu-ray copy again, but under a new label, which is it's old gold label or something. It's called, isn't it? Network. And literally it was $12.99. Not much of a difference in price compared to the original Network one.
Yeah.
And I said it was probably the best 13 quid I've spent.
Yeah.
Totally agree. You know what I mean with that film? Brilliant.
I'd just like to mention a Ripper film that I like is a Hammer one, which is Hands of the Ripper. I think it's early 70s. It's excellent, brilliant.
Yeah. There's lots of Ripper in
Hammer did a lot of great stuff. Yeah.
Do you remember the Star Trek episode where Scotty was?
Oh yes, yeah.
They would Jack the Ripper. And they called it, the name was Rychek or something, and they had to look at the past to find out it was an English verb meaning Jack the Ripper. I went,
yeah, brilliant. Matt Fletcher, here is one for you. Out of the classic Trek series up to Enterprise, who would you choose as your crew for your own starship?
Right.
Captain, doctor, engineer, etc. This should be good. Oh, so you can have right up to Enterprise. Interesting mix of characters. Woo.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna, when it comes to captain, let's do this systematically. So I'm going to name my captain. You name your captain.
Yeah, I know you're going to say.
I'm going to be Captain Kirk, so that's pretty obvious. What's yours going to be? All the captains that you could choose, you know.
I've got a choice of two, and I have to pick one, which is always Picard and Kirk. So,
you're not going to go with, you know, like in Enterprise itself. You know, you've obviously got, you know.
I'm going to go.
I mean, you got Janeway from Voyager, haven't you? You've got
I think I'll go Kirk because he's such an iconic character. I love Picard. Sometimes I might pick Picard on another day, but today I'm picking Kirk. I'll pick Kirk today.
Yeah.
Doctor.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want this to be, oh God, you've chosen everything from the old series. So I am going to try and vary this up.
Yeah.
So
is your doctor.
Because of that, I'm going to totally turn around to you and say, I'm going to do the science officer next. Right. And I will not choose one from the original series. And so that leaves me with a very difficult situation, but I will choose as my science officer 7 of 9.
Yeah.
Now it's up to you. You can choose Spock if you want. It's just that I know that if I go to engineer, it's going to be Scotty. If I go to, you know, it's going to be. It's them turn around and say, "Why didn't you just choose the original bloody crew then?"
Well, I'll tell you what. I would obviously choose McCoy, but I'm honestly, I've always have been, and she was so underrated. A big fan of Dr. Crusher, so I will pick Dr. Crusher.
That's the doctor. I'm talking second in command, science officer.
Doctor is an important character.
But we've got to do the doctor next. It's the science officer.
Well, I'm just going on here, Captain Doctor.
I just told you who my science officer is, so you'll have to go with that, aren't you? Okay. What's your science officer? Come on. Jesus,
well,
man.
I'm sorry, I can't pick any other character. But
What are you going to do when he
I
gets?
know.
What are you going to do when he gets to etc. Then? Bloody hell! What, you know what I mean?
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to pick Spock. I know it's
So you got
boring.
so far you've got Kirk and Spock, right? Okay,
So, yeah,
right. Now we go to Doctor. Then you're
Yeah,
choosing Beverly Crusher, are you?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now I chose somebody different than Spock, so I can actually say I will go with Bones. So I
Right.
can go back to the original
Yeah.
one, right? Right. So after that, we've got Engineer.
Right. I'm going with Geordie LaForge.
Good choice. That's who I was going to choose.
Yeah.
So we've got, as far as I'm concerned, our first original. You know, we've got our first engineer.
Yeah.
We match. Okay. What about Navigator? You know,
Oh.
you got Sulu, haven't you? You could turn around and say Data was a navigator.
Oh yeah.
You got
Oh.
you
Well,
got
you've just said it. You see, the fact that you just immediately said Data, I would
well,
have
you
to
got
choose
in
Data.
Voyager you got Paris.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'd choose Data. I'd have to.
Let's see.
I think that's.
Yeah, I think I'm
Shall
gonna
we
have to
leave it at that? Yeah, we could carry
Yeah.
on further, maybe. I don't know.
Like I said, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Yeah.
characters. If there's
Yeah.
one more, then the last one then is second in command. And
Oh.
I am gonna go with the next generation's you know, number 1.
Riker.
Riker.
Yeah, I would. I'd go for Riker. Definitely. Riker.
I think that's enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How's that? That weren't far. That
Yeah.
weren't bad, was it?
Yeah, that was fine. Yep.
By
Brilliant.
the way, Mark, you're a complete git, and it's Star Trek: The Original Crew all the way. All that other
Yeah.
stuff was just, something to play
Yeah.
along you with. But as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
it's a classic Trek.
Yeah.
Because I'm an old fossil. I can't help it. I'm old.
Right. Stephen Taylor, do you think The X-Files was as good when Mulder left for a couple of years? I haven't watched those ones myself.
I've got my standard answer for that one.
Do you know?
You're gonna leave it till you get to the review until you review it.
And for me, when I'm watching them, I always think Gillian Anderson was the best out of the two. Mulder sometimes, like there's an episode I just watched when he was on his own called 3 in second series. She was having a baby, and I don't think he holds that episode up very well. He doesn't. It isn't a great episode, but he doesn't come across very good, in a good way. I think in terms of his acting. He kind of needs Gillian Anderson to make him a better actor, and it does work in some episodes. So I suppose you can argue that when he did leave for a couple of years, it may have lost its. Well, like it's that a lot of people love Mulder and Scully. It was the thing. It was the thing. I mean, originally I didn't realize that they were going to get another romantic interest for him, but they abandoned that idea. Then they realized they had it straight in front of them. So obviously, a lot of people love that relationship. And when he left, they probably felt, oh, what can happen? But I think she was so good that I quite liked the other bloke that came. What's his name? He was in Terminator.
Yeah, he was the T-1000, wasn't he?
Yeah, I forgot. I've forgotten his name. Anyhow,
Young Company.
I, I didn't mind him at all in it. And they brought another woman in, didn't they? There were two of them as well.
I'm not sure about that, but I know that the
I think there
T-1000.
was. I think there was another one in there. Because obviously the relationship was different. It wasn't like with Mulder and Scully. But I think Gillian Anderson was such a good actress that she was able to carry it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he could on his own. That's just my opinion. I may be wrong on that, but that was just my impression of watching them as I'm starting to review the series and enjoying it. You can see and look in terms of acting now, Gillian Anderson's career is a much better career than what Duchovny has gone into.
Yeah.
It is. She's a greater actress, definitely. So that's just my answer on you.
I mean, it says here, do you think the X-Files was as good? And the simple answer is it wasn't, right? But that doesn't. But what you have to ask yourself is there's many levels, isn't there, of what's good and what's bad. It wasn't a bad show. I forgot his think his name was Richard Patrick, wasn't it?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different feel. That's what you got to. That's what you got to say to yourself is. It doesn't. It's just that you've had so many seasons of these people, and you've become beloved characters that when something else comes in, it's like a stark shock. That when it settles down, and your mind adjusts to it, it then turns into that. Oh, this is not bad. So, like you at the moment, you're going through these, and you're going to get to that point.
Yeah.
It probably won't feel so stark because you know it's coming up.
Yeah.
And your mind will adjust to that. And it will soften
Yeah.
the blow. But back then, it was like so jarring. It's like,
yeah.
And then because that jarring, you forget that the stories are equally as good. It's just you've got different actors playing the parts that you want them to play, and you go, this is not as good. But I think the writing was as good. That's the thing. I think if you look at those stories, there's some damn good episodes in there. In fact, probably some of them are better than the ones that preceded it.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm going to turn around and say it was never ever going to be as good in my eyes, just purely because the characters were so beloved by then.
That's right.
Anybody that was approaching it would have given me a different vibe.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make it a bad show.
Yeah. I mean, it obviously changed. It's when he left, they had to kind of it. A lot of fans loved their relationship so much. It was just seen as,
sacrilege,
why, why have they done that? One of the things that I really disliked is that there was almost like they've had two endings to the X-Files. They did actually have an end, didn't they? He came back for an end thing. And of course, then a few years later, they revived it in these smaller runs, 10 and 11.
And then there was a
and then did another ending, didn't they?
Yeah.
At the end of 11, well, they killed the cigarette smoking.
I still like the first big budget X-Files film compared to
the
second.
I love that. The second one is not as good at all.
Yeah,
but the first one. I love the first. The big budget one is a fantastic film.
I remember the bees in that first one.
Yeah, it's a great film. I just feel that they ended it, and then they pretended that hadn't happened, and then did it again and updated it.
It was like a mini series, the 11th season, wasn't it?
Because didn't they kill off the cigarette smoking man in the end?
Yeah, the smoking man. Yeah, the smoking man. Cancer, I suppose. Can't remember.
Yeah.
I wonder if they bring it back, they'd call him the vaping man.
Yeah, vaping man. Yeah. I like that one. I like that. But yeah, I always believed that the X-Files, I wish it'd have ended at a certain point. Unfortunately, everybody's excited. I mean, I suppose I was just thinking, I wouldn't say excited, but I said, "Oh yeah, it's coming back." You know, bringing these mini series, as they like to call them,
Yeah.
and not the same. Just something's not right. You know, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but there we are. I don't know. I suppose I will review them, but with a bit more. Anyway, it'll be a long time yet before I get there. So, Cy Robson, the Stephen King
There we are.
film with the killer trucks at the petrol station is Maximum Overdrive.
And
Yeah,
that's
I've heard
what
of
I
that
was
one,
talking about. Yeah.
yeah. And Mark Fletcher, charity shop subject. Have you seen the videos? Can't think of the channel on YouTube where the chap goes around dumpster diving, finding loads of DVDs and CDs in charity shop bins. I've never seen anything like that.
No, I haven't. I can believe it goes on. At some point, a charity shop has got to turn around and rotate the stock. They can't keep hold of everything. There's stuff in there that's been on the shelves for about 3 years. So it would have to eventually go into a dumpster because they can't keep rotating it around their shops. But it's a great shame when that occurs because you'd think they'd give it to somebody like World of Books or something, give them a chance to sell it or give it on, wouldn't you? But
Yeah.
it's one of those things when it comes to charity shops, right? I worked as an IT manager for a company. The company I work for now, by the way, is a sub-arm of the Ministry of Justice, right? And when the company was going to be merged back in, yeah, I said, why can't this stuff go to charity? You know, there was a load of laptops, right? And they said, oh no, it's got to be destroyed. And I said, but we've got 4,000 phones. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, we can wipe them and give them to third world companies like Africa or something.
Yeah.
They said the way it works is that we have to write them off, and we write them off by depreciation, and depreciation then turns into pennies that an accountant can wipe off and turn around and said you made a profit, right? To give it to a charity or something, we have to have there is always a legal mumbo jumbo where we'll have to give them a 3-month guarantee, and there'll always be somebody that will bring it back and say this broke after 3 months and all of this sort of stuff, right? Which we don't want to get into. So it's better to destroy it than it is to go down that. And I said, what about our staff? Our staff aren't going to come back, are they? What if we all give them their monitors? You know, let's say there's no point bringing your monitors back from the pandemic. You might as well keep them.
Yeah.
Because you're now going to work for another company and we don't want them back. And he said, again, it's one of those things where we have to write it off. They have to know where it went. There has to be a written disclaimer that said it was destroyed, all of this sort of stuff, so that the accountants can write it off. And I said, what a crying shame, because I mean, even now there was a good news story that there's a company just been set up that's going to take all of the phones and take the gold out of them, because
that's right. I saw that.
Gold, and then they're melting those down so that they can make jewelry and stuff out of them, which means that the gold stays in this country and it makes us profitable. Just imagine all of those phones that I chucked away that just got melted. The gold would have just melted with the plastic and everything else, so that there was nothing that would have been salvaged out of them. We didn't take, these companies that took our stuff away didn't do anything with the electrical parts. They weren't allowed to. They had to show a certificate that says these were destroyed. There was nothing left. Melted to powder. Whatever. Right. So I find it a great shame. Yeah, I hate it when stuff can't be recycled or somebody have some love for it, because in a dumpster, what's happening to it just gets scratched, beaten up, cracked, all that sort of stuff. I'm sure if somebody came in and said, "Look, we've got 50 discs here, we're just about chucking the bin. Do you want to put them in your plastic bag, love, and take them away?" I'm sure they'd have had them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, what are you chucking them in the bin for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, if I was the
Yeah.
last person in the charity store and they said, "Look, mate, we're going to put all these 50 discs. They're mixed. I'm not going to tell you what's in them. They're mixed. Do you want to take them home with you?" Because I'd have just turned around and said, "Yeah," because I could dump
Yeah.
them if I don't want them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
a bit like that, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sticking it in London just seems wrong.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Right. Stephen Moles, have any of you seen the TV movie of Doctor Strange, 1978, starring Peter Hooton?
Yes, I have.
Here we are. Let the expert go.
It came out at a time where Marvel were trying to bring out the Hulk and Spider-Man. Doctor Strange was another. It was a pilot. At the same time, Bill Bixby did The Magician. Do you remember he did a short-lived thing called The Magician? Before he turned into Bill Bixby's the Hulk, you know what I mean? He did a thing called The Magician. It was really, really weird. It was supposed to be like the comic, but there was no way that they were going to make it like the comic. He did have a mustache and the amulet of Agaron and all of this sort of stuff, but it was. I can understand why they didn't make They didn't make another one, but it was better than It was better than the Captain America film they did at the same time. That was atrocious. Captain America on his perspex shield and his bike. Bloody awful. That was. Every time he jumped, it was like Wonder Woman, you know, where you see him jumping up and it's almost like they propelled him up there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no knees being bent or anything, you know, he only bends them when he's about to land. But you can see he was pushed up. And the only reason it worked in Wonder Woman is because you saw Linda, you saw Linda's ass, and that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
Seeing America's ass didn't sort of like do it for me. You know what I mean? There you go. That's a little anecdote for you.
Yeah.
Yes, I did see it. It wasn't as bad as people do say you can watch it on YouTube and all of this sort of stuff, right? And it is there. But it's just where you can get away with Spider-Man and the Hulk. Doctor Strange, you really just couldn't get away. It just wasn't that interesting.
Yeah.
They didn't go far enough into what Steve Ditko was trying to do with his art.
Yeah.
You know, in Steve Ditko, they did things like he went into transcendentalism, you know, where he lifted himself out of his body and had mystic fights with another mystic warrior. But if his body got killed, he would die, and all of that. You didn't have any of that in Doctor Strange, 1978. It was just like card tricks,
right?
Type thing.
Okay. Stephen Walls, Cy Robson. This is another Stephen King story, mate. It's only been released on Region 1 DVD. Cy says, Stephen Moles, all right, I'll need to check it out. Stephen Moles, Cy Robson. It's like a remake of Maximum Overdrive, but totally different. Came out in 97.
Like I say, I've seen that Maximum Overdrive is the thing that I was talking about, you know, with the diner and all of that, and the trucks and
that. Mark Fletcher, my eagle eyes think that they have seen a Marvel annual on Ian's bookshelf where he does his own videos. I've been meaning to ask if it is. He's right. Actually, he's a blowing eagle eyes. There is a Marvel annual on there. Yeah.
I bet you it's printed by Grand Dreams.
Sorry?
I bet you it's published by Grand Dreams.
Just oh dear. There we are. I've got it now. Is it? Is that the one you was expecting?
No, I just said it. All you got to do is say who was it. It was
World Distributors.
So it's before Grand Dreams. Grand Dreams came about in 1980.
Ah,
So that's a 1978, is it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I picked this up somewhere. I think probably a charity shop for about £1.
Nothing wrong with that. That's Mighty World of Marvel. That would have starred the Hulk.
Yeah.
There was a comic. That was the first UK comic from Marvel. Was Mighty World of Marvel starring the Hulk.
Oh,
After the success of Mighty World of Marvel starring the Hulk, Spider-Man came out, and he came out 12 weeks after the first Mighty World of Marvel. Now, Mighty World of Marvel had Spider-Man as a backup strip, and he went into his own strip. So they replaced Spider-Man with Daredevil.
Ah, yeah. There's another one I picked up.
Yeah.
So some people are looking in the background of what you've got.
They only want to know if it's dusty back there or not.
Yeah. Right. Hopefully that's all right for you, Mark. There it is. Cy Robson, did you ever watch the comic strip takes on the Famous Five? It was hilarious. Yeah, I do remember that. The Channel 4 series.
Yeah, didn't that have Aid Edmondson, and it also had the two girls, didn't it?
French and Saunders.
They went on a picnic or something and a bike ride.
Yeah. They had a whole series of skits they did, didn't they, on various things. It was funny. Stephen Moles, Cy Robson, yes, that was funny. Stephen Taylor, do you have the full Sky package with movies and sports included with your collections? You probably don't need the films. I don't have anything to do with Sky apart from the internet. That's it. They provide all this internet, but no, I'm not bothered with channels. I won't bother.
My mother and I do, and we have the full Sky package. And the reason that we've kept us with this full Sky package is because if you took the films away, then the sports channel goes up to such a price that it's over the price of having having the actual just the sports. Do you see what I mean? So they entice you to have if you have both, they discount. You see what I mean? The other channels, to the point where it's if you did turn around and say, I only want sport, I don't want the movies, the whole package would actually go up in value, up in price, and it'd be over what, in other words, what you're paying now. So yeah. And the reason that we've got the full Sky package, my mum doesn't understand how to get things like Netflix and Prime and everything working. You can only just about work out the Sky remote, bringing up the TV guide and choosing the right channel. At the moment, she's just worked out that if she holds one button on the remote, it turns both the telly and the Sky box on at the same time. She's only just worked that out. Otherwise, she was turning them on separately with the power button on. Both of them. My mother is 85, you see, now. So, you got to understand that it's getting more and more difficult to understand. She turns the telly off, and when she turns it back on, she can't understand where the channels have gone, because it keeps coming up with something in there that says this channel doesn't start until 7 p.m. And that's because she was watching a drama program late at night, and it doesn't start until late in the night. And she doesn't know how to change channel, because you've got to press a button to be able to press the channel number in. So it's getting harder and harder for pensioners to understand how to get these things. At some point, I'm going to have to teach you how to use voice control. There's a blue button on Sky where you can say Sky 1, and it will bring Sky 1 up. And I swear I'm going to have to probably teach her that at some point, because she's just getting all bogged down with all this. You've tuned into a non-subscribed channel and all of that, and you can't get the channel.
Stephen Moles, Catacombs, 1988. also known as Curse for the Ultimate Sacrifice, is a good film Italian horror. Well, Italian horror is always a good thing.
So do you remember me telling you that I said I've hardly watched any Italian horror? I know nothing
Yeah,
about it.
it's Italian horror is always well worth getting into. Fantastic. Some really good, and you get a lot of sometimes actors who English actors and American actors who just came over to Europe and did all these films. It was helpful for their career. If the career perhaps wasn't doing as well in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Sim Moss, watched the new Doctor Who last night. The only episode I liked was Space Babies. Ha
Right.
ha ha ha.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, of course it was. Of course it was. The bounce.
What a liar.
Yes. Yeah.
The one episode that I think everybody was in agreement was as being, what the hell is this? Was Space Baby.
It was one of the worst episodes ever.
Maybe it's true. Maybe that's not a jokey comment. Maybe it is actually true. He liked Space Babies. He liked the idea of it. But personally, to me, it was awful.
It was. It was just. It just. I don't even like to think of that series. The whole thing was a complete disaster. Just not for me. Just not for me. Right. Cauldron of Stardust. Hello.
Hello, Cauldron.
Hello.
I upset him once, on this channel.
I did.
I don't think I've ever lived that down.
New Captain America film looks good with Harrison Ford as Red Hulk. Oh,
I've literally only seen, I'll tell you now, I've literally only seen 20 seconds of the trailer.
Yeah.
As soon as they mentioned Red Hulk, I knew that this wasn't going to be the Red Hulk that I knew. Because the Red Hulk in the comic was General Thunderbolt Ross. Right? General Thunderbolt Ross in the Hulk, everybody knows, he's been around since the 60s. He was the one that basically he just it was his whole military career to destroy the Hulk. 30 or 40 years later, they wrote a story where he became a Hulk and he became a Red Hulk. Right? Harrison Ford, from what I could tell in the trailer, he's a president of the United States.
Yeah.
And then I saw in an article that somebody had put that Harrison Ford plays the Red Hulk. And I thought, how does the president become the Red Hulk? They've rewritten the story then. And that makes me think, okay, it probably still is good, but they're not keeping close to the comic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they're doing that, because it was General Thunderbolt Ross who was the Red Hulk.
But if you're not a comic follower, I suppose it's not really going to matter, But when is this due out? I don't know. Is this due out this year?
No, it's next year.
Oh, next year, yeah.
Remember the one film that Marvel were bringing out this year, and they said they're only bringing out one film this year, was Wolverine Deadpool.
Yeah.
It all starts again with the 2 or 3 a year.
Is it? They're going to start up again. So next year, oh dear. Right. Cauldron of Stardust. At Steve Moss. I gotta check that out. Italians know how to do horror. They do,
Yeah, I've got to do more of that, you see.
Yeah.
Well,
Steve Moss. Time After Time is a great movie. David Warner always plays a good bad guy.
That was my first capsule review, wasn't it? Time After Time.
He's a great actor, David Warner. His list of films it just blows you away, and TV roles as well. He's just what a career. And Cauldron of Stardust. Sometimes an actor can do so well at their role, though, that they can't do anything else interesting. Like, I know he's dead now, but how could James Gandolfini be anything but Tony Soprano?
Yeah,
Um,
James Gandolfini. Being
yeah,
do anything but Tony Soprano.
yeah, a
Sopranos
series
are
I've never
the
seen,
Sopranos.
but I know how
Yeah,
popular it was.
honestly, 5
Yeah,
seasons I think it was of the Sopranos, and they did end
yeah,
it off, and it was great. I mean, by the time you got to season 3, you were so engrossed. That was the thing.
yeah,
Season 1 to me was one of those weird seasons where if you didn't get it by the end of the first season, you probably wouldn't watch the second season, and you would write it off as being weren't for me, right?
yeah,
Once like we were discussing earlier, Ian,
yeah,
like The Godfather. Once you
yeah,
got into the story of the family, what was going on with the rest of the
yeah,
family, all of
yeah,
the stuff that was going backstabbing that was going
yeah,
on between them,
yeah,
right? It then turned into another thing, but you needed to get to season 2 or 3 for that to happen.
yes, yeah,
First season was such a weird one. I remember and just going, I'm not sure if I'm liking this, but I
mm,
persevered. I'm glad I did because then I bought the box set.
yeah.
So there you
Did
are.
it get an ending?
Yes, it got an ending. Yeah,
Oh, fantastic! That's great. Right, wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, I know this sounds bad, but sometimes you think, "Oh, I should watch these series," and but it's. I bet there's quite a lot of episodes, and it's just getting the time almost to
You
watch
know
these
what?
when you're doing all these other things.
I can't remember or not if Sopranos was one of those early ones that has those big long seasons of like 26 episodes per
Yeah,
season, or whether it's one of those ones that has the 10.
yeah, ten's a
I've
bit doable, but
I've got a funny feeling that the last season of The Sopranos only was 10 episodes because
yeah,
it was to finish it
yeah,
off. But I think the
yeah,
other episodes were 20 odd plus, yeah, episodes.
yeah,
Were.
yeah. But there we are. That's why people keep saying about Game of Thrones and what have you, and that the spin-off series and all that. But I never watched the Game of Thrones, and it's just too daunting to go through all that.
No, I understand.
Yeah. Um, Mark Fletcher, was the X-Filed episode yeah, called Home, where Mulder and Scully investigate, yes it is, the inbred family. The mother under the bed with no legs. No wonder they got in hot water for that. Great stuff. Yeah, I remember it being shown on BBC Two, I think it probably was. But it's always had kind of like a ban that it's had the one showing, and probably in America it may not have even got one showing. I don't know, but it's one of those notorious episodes,
Yeah.
and it was a good one as well. It was spot on, great episode, but a bit taboo. Yeah, Cauldron of Stardust. So sometimes the inability to find more employment can be indicative of an actor being so good in a role, it follows them forever. Interesting point, Um, funny thing about the recent X-Files episodes, the Monster of the Week episodes were actually really damn good. But the ones involving the big conspiracy, for lack of a better term, were awful. I think the problem with the big conspiracy, it sort of lost its way totally by the end. I think they were even not sure where it was going themselves, the
Yeah.
writers. They kind of didn't know what to do. They really didn't. They got themselves in a corner. What they should have perhaps done initially is had a plan and had it clearer. But I think as they went along, they kept adding bits here, adding bits there, and it kind of lost its way, I think.
Well, obviously, for me, the Monster of the Week of X Files was something that I didn't mind because
Yeah.
I'd watched Outer Limits and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
I mean, when the Monster of the Week was as good as the first season's episode of, the guy that ate livers to stay alive,
Yeah.
the two parts. What was his case? What was it called? It was called
Oh God, it's gone right out of my head, and it shouldn't do. Well, let me think.
Skin or something. It was called, or Stretch or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was Stretch. I'm trying to think of the name of the. Oh, sorry, my brain's not
Because
very good.
there is science fact, isn't there, that back in the 18th, 17th, or 16th century, that they thought that if you did eat the liver of people, you would live longer because you're eating the part that cleanses your blood, isn't it? That renews your blood. So there is a part of science in that, even if it's so early science.
It was a great concept. I know what it was. It's just clipped to me. Tombs.
Tombs, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a creepy so and so, wasn't he?
He's a weird bastard.
He was creepy.
But that was the one. That was the one that turned the X-Files into an astronomical thing, wasn't it? I mean, that story. I mean, they got the turnaround of that story so early that they made a second part to it only about 8 or 9 episodes after the first time they showed him.
And they released it on VHS.
Yeah,
combined as a one story put together. Fantastic. Right. What game? This is Stephen Taylor. What games have you been playing recently, Del? Does your PS5 get much use, or do you mostly use your PC?
That's a very nice question for me. Thank you so much. And the thing is, in my blog, I've mentioned I'd love to be able to play more games more often because it was a joy for me. I mean, I've been brought up since the days of the Commodore 64, Spectrum, ZX80, 81, all of that stuff in 1980. No, 81, 82, 83. So when you buy a PS5, you've got a top end tier system. You should be using it, but my problem is I can't stay awake. I'm sleeping. I'm watching something on the big screen, and basically I'm drifting off to sleep, and my eyes go double vision and stuff. So it's very difficult for me. It happens less at the PC. And with the PC, I can sort of control it because I'm sitting in this chair and it's a little bit uncomfortable, so it keeps me awake. It's like, have you ever sat in something so comfortable you just instantly fall asleep? But if you sit on something that's just a little bit uncomfortable, you stay awake. You know what it is? Because you're constantly trying to get comfortable in it, so it forces you to stay awake. It's why people sometimes fall asleep at the wheel, because you're in a comfy chair.
Yeah,
driving along, and if the chair was just a little bit uncomfortable, you'd be going, "Oh yeah, I can't quite." You know what I mean? So it's a little bit like that. So to answer your question, what have I been playing recently? Well, Mainmeister's bought me a race. I bought him a race game which was based on a GP game. It was something called New Star GP. And he's bought me one just now called Super Polygon GP. I think it's purely because you bought me this game, so I bought you this one. So at the moment, that's being played. And Steve Gaming, I'm waiting for him to come back to me because he did a series of games called Planet Crafter. And I said, do you think I should do an episodic thing like you did, but with a game called Astroneer? Now, I'm intrigued by Astroneer, but I'm not convinced it would work because it's a bit cartoony, but it works like Planet Crafter. So I've asked him for his opinion, and I'm waiting for that to come back. Nothing else to report, really. I've been reminiscing about all my old stuff. I've been playing some Commodore 64 stuff. I played some 68,000 stuff on my week off. A Sharp X68000. Look that up. It's a brilliant system. And whatever you do look up my friends. Steve's Gaming, Mainmeister, Robert's Retro Gaming. All three of those will delight you if you watch those three people. That they're gorgeous people, and they're gorgeous channel. You'll get no end of gaming pleasure watching those. And that's where I'm going to end it. I don't want to stay too long talking about games when we're well, this is a Ask Us Anything, so I don't mind. But I know
right.
I know you don't know too much of gaming, do you, Ian? But
no, but it's right. No, I think it's good. I'm always interested, even though I've no idea what you're on about. I'm always interested.
I was just about to say, I said, Ian, you have always turned around to me and said, no, I'm always interested when you're actually playing them, though. I haven't watched it before. It's more than a lot of people have done that are just are into film chat. So that's great of you for doing that, you know.
Actually, just before I go on, I just want to remind people, if you've not subscribed to Delboy's channel, please subscribe to him. I've put the link, it's in the description, and just go over there and you'll see a great channel. His blog, I have to publicize that blog because it's amazing, but he does more than that as well. But the blog is absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely wonderful. So if there's anybody who hasn't subscribed to his channel, get over there and subscribe. I've put it in the description. There's no excuse whatsoever. There you are.
You know what? That's so nice. I mean, it's so humbling. I mean, I know I always say it in my blog whenever I come to yours. I say, look, if you haven't gone round to Ian's channel, I don't know what the bloody hell's wrong with you. Look, he's done this, right? I'm a big fan of community. I want people to all like each other's work, you know, and all of us promote each other's work, because it is nice to see your own channel grow, but I don't want my channel to grow and yours not, and leave people behind and all of that sort of stuff. I'm very much the person that wants to collaborate, which is why I'm so glad that I'm on here. You know, you say every Wednesday, do you want to come on?
Yeah, of course.
I'd love you to be on and all that sort of stuff. It's
established now. We're established. This is episode 18. We've done 18 of these, which is pretty good. Pretty good, isn't it?
And so what I'm trying to say is that it's what they call like cross-pollination, I think. You know what I mean? It's like you support me, I support you. If you have an idea and you said, Del, I want to do a video that's going to be about this, but it's too big for me as a project for myself, would you help me with it? Could you do some of the research for me, or could you record a piece and I'll edit it together? Then I'm there. I'm literally going, of course I'm there. That's called collaboration. What I don't like doing is causing a problem between two channels where somebody's got to make a choice. Like somebody wants to watch both of them at the same time, but they can't. It's almost like a BBC One's trying to have a conflict with ITV. That's what I'm trying to get at. And nobody wants that, because one's going to have to record the other one while watching the other one. And then when you're watching back a recording, you can't ask the questions. So all you can do is watch. And I find that I try to avoid that at all costs. And I will continue to avoid that at all costs, because I just find it a pointless exercise to go against, to do that against people that you know or whatever. Now, that's only my personal opinion. It's not yours, Ian. I want to make that perfectly straight. That's my own opinion. I'm just saying I don't like going up. I would rather do it when there's a blank slot.
Well,
you know what I mean? As simple as that.
I've picked this because I don't think there is
what's on a
chat on a Wednesday. There used to be, I know, Playtendo guy had a big channel, a big chat thing, but there is nobody, so I don't think we're clashing with anybody.
That's right.
And hopefully we've established us in our chat now.
And that's what's so nice about it. Like I said, nothing more than that. I just, you know, at the end of the day, I just want everybody to be happy. Everybody to be happy.
I think there is something important to say, is that why I particularly like your channel, and I'm not a gamer, as I always say, I know virtually nothing about games, is that your blogs are not something that everybody does. Blogs are quite a unique thing in many ways. And a blog is really you just sat talking and we getting to know you. That's what it's about.
Basically.
And that is the strength of what you do.
I should call it a video diary, because that's what it is.
It's the strength of what you do. And for me, more people should know about that. They shouldn't be put off by thinking, oh yeah, he's a gamer, he does this and that. I want people to just see you as a person. And I think that is important. I think, that's where it all begins, really. You're not somebody who's just saying blah blah blah, this and that. You do it in a way which we get to know you and your mum as well, and what's going on in your life.
Everybody loves my mum.
Exactly. And you get to it becomes something that we get to know you and what's going on. And also I think it's good because it kind of, especially with things as they are, it's good to go into other people's lives and just see that people are getting on with their life, doing what they do. And that's important to me, especially now how things are. Just having people's lives and they doing a good, what they can in life. And I think that's great.
It's very
and that's
nice,
why a channel like yours is excellent, and that's why I always promote it. I'm very happy to promote your channel because of that element. You don't have to be a gamer to watch your channel, and I like that. That's important.
I do call myself a retro zone, right? And the reason it's zone because my favorite television program is the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Retro zone is not. Some people hate that word retro, but retro is short for retrospective, and I do retrospectives of everything: films, TV. That's a retrospective look at this, a retrospective look at that. It's not to imply a piece of hardware is a retro device, right?
Yeah,
it's a retrospective of a device, that sort of thing. My blogs are a diary. And this is what I want to tell people. And I mentioned it at the very. If ever you're going to watch a blog like mine, you really ought to go back to episode 1 and see what I wrote. Right in that first video, which was 15 minutes long, by the way. 15 minutes. I wish I could go back to those blogs that were 15 minutes long. They're now 2 hours 40 minutes. It's getting a bit long. In that video, it says this is a diary. And like any diary, your thoughts are being verbally read out. Now, in your diary, if you've ever read a woman's diary or a bloke's diary, there are thoughts in there that you wouldn't tell anybody. Like today, I really felt like I could kill someone or whatever it is, right? So whenever I'm in my blog mode and I'm talking, if I've had a disappointment in the week, I'll mention what the disappointment was. If I've had a happy week, I will tell you what the happy week was, what it was that made it joyous. At the moment, most people look at my blog and go, I don't know how you could stand work. They sound like complete bastards, right? At the end of the day, if you're getting that impression, you're probably on the right lines because I'm thinking the same at the moment. I know there's good in them, but at the moment, they're not showing it to me. So if somebody was to actually at work say, can you honestly tell us, do you think it's worth working at our place? I would turn around to them and say, no, I don't think at the moment you are a good place to work. I work because I need a job and I need money. If you want to know why I'm talking like this, is because I don't think much about your policy on mental health. If you did, you'd look at the things that I've said in the past and try and correct them.
Yeah.
I've got a funny feeling if they ever did discover my channel or whatever it is, or if they, I'm pretty sure some of them do know I've got a channel, that they would say, the only thing we can offer you is redundancy. Do you want to take that up on us? because they can't sack you unless you do something drastically wrong.
Yeah.
They can do something called constructive dismissal. Constructive dismissal is the ability to make your life so bad that you just resign because you can't take it anymore. That's what they call constructive dismissal. And they could continue down that line. I don't think they're that bad. I don't think they'd want to construct a point where they actually make your life so bad that you just turn around and go, I ain't having this anymore, and you resign for your own health. That wouldn't look good on them.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of, I think at the moment they're under a lot of pressure because there's a new government that's just stepped in. We're all skeptical about whether we're going to have our jobs by the end of next year because the government are making all these cuts. They've already turned around, haven't they, and said that the energy supplement that you got for the pensioners this year is gone. You're not going to have it this Christmas. Stuff that, we've got no money. So already I've told my mum, prepare for that. So anyway, thank you so much for promoting my channel.
Okay.
Really appreciate it. And anybody watching, if you are subscribed, thank you. My God, salute to you. All Ian and I want to do is entertain, but we also want to grow.
Right. Yeah.
We want to grow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't want to shrink. We don't want to lose you.
I'd just like to say as well, you show both sides. It's like you went on a trip and you could see that you absolutely loved going on that trip to Birmingham. You see things like that show another side, which is great to see. I think that's really good to see.
And I don't know what it is, but I got to the weekend and I did my blog and I said, look, most of my blogs, I'm usually saying I've had a mixed week. I'm going to tell you now, some good, mostly bad, mixed. I came away on that Sunday turning around and saying, do you know what? I've got to turn around and say I'm on a high.
Yeah.
I went and met people. I did a capsule review. We did a chat on a Friday.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The sun was out all week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What was there? What was ever in there that could actually do it? Obviously, there are things that can disappoint. But what I'm trying to say is, how much good was in that week compared to me being at work and having a daily, oh my God, my managers want this out of me, want that out of me, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And the only thing that you've got as a reprise is coming on a show like this on a Wednesday and hoping that you can stay awake long enough at night that you can watch something good on telly.
Yeah.
Because that's what 5 days, Monday to Friday, is for me normally. So 5 days of staying awake and doing adventure stuff. Brilliant.
Yeah. Fantastic. So next, Steve Mull says Bloodthirst 2023 is a good vampire movie worth checking out. Thank you for.
What was the last vampire movie you saw? I think mine was Renfield.
Abigail. I think it's the last vampire movie I saw. That's with a little girl. Have you seen that
2024 film?
Yeah, it's it's this year. Yeah, it's this year. It came right at the beginning, I think, of this year, was it? But it's one that a lot of people have talked about. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's the best this year. You all know what I think is the best year.
It's just the last vampire film I think I saw was Renfield. I don't think I've seen another vampire film since Renfield.
Yeah, this one, Abigail. I think you will find it interesting. I think worth having a watch. Definitely, you'll come across it because I'm sure there'll be a steelbook of it.
I was going to say, I don't think it's on physical media.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not had a release.
Yeah, that's when I'm probably going to get. That's probably when I'm going to get to watch it, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, I have a terrible feeling it may be Netflix. I don't know. Some of our viewers may know that.
So
and if it's notice, I said, Netflix.
Netflix don't always.
But I think it's been at the cinema. I'm sure it has been at the cinema, which makes it a good thing. I would be hopeful for a physical release. I may be wrong on that, but I think there will be a physical release of it. Well, isn't there already? You see, I'm going potty. Could be. They could.
I'm gonna check now and see if there's an Abigail Steele book just while you're on. So
Yeah.
you say it's called Abigail.
Let me. So we're both checking now. I was checking if it is. I keep thinking, oh, maybe it's already out, Abigail, as a release.
Oh, it's out on Blu-ray, according to this.
It is out on Blu-ray, is it?
It's out on Blu-ray, not 4K.
Oh, fantastic! Well, there you are. Yeah, it's something people will absolutely. I think if you've not seen it, it's a new take on the vampire thing, and it works well. I'll say it's not my favorite film of the year, but it's definitely, the more I've seen it now a few more times, the more I do appreciate it quite a lot.
Doesn't seem like there's
no
been
Steelbook.
No Steelbook announced at the moment.
No.
I could pick it up. Apparently, I could pick it up for about $14.99. It looks like that's the
it is a film that people have been talking about as well. I think because of it, it's just another interesting twist. You know, the idea that they've these set of people being paid a lot of money to sort of keep this girl at this big house, this like mansion house, and because they don't realize what she is, and it's really good. It's a really good twist to it, and there's more twists which I won't give away. But yeah,
I'm just going to do one last search, and then I'm back with you.
Yeah,
and that is something that Keith explained to me as the best thing for you to do.
Yeah,
and that is always look and see if there's a Steelbook on Italy, Amazon Italy.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
So I'm just going. And then I'll be with you. So Abigail, Blu-ray.
There should be something on there, surely.
Believe it or not, there isn't one in Italy either. So I think it's safe to say that's gonna. I think this will be like Megan. Megan came out as a Blu-ray disc first of all, and it wasn't a Steelbook or anything like that.
Yeah, because there's no 4K of it, is there?
Then later on they brought out a 4K, and it came out.
And then you get your Steelbook. Yeah.
I'll hang around, I think, for that one.
Yeah.
I won't pay the $14.99 and get stuck doing the damn thing.
Yeah. I think it'll come out on 4K. Yeah. Megan's the good example. Yeah. So another good slasher worth checking out, Founders Day. Yeah, I've seen that one, 2023. Excellent.
I've seen Founders Day.
It's another good one, very good. Yeah.
Yep.
Mark Fletcher, satisfying ending to the X-Files. Oh yeah. Scully finds Mulder dead.
I've just read this,
all the pencils above his head finally drop on him. Oh yeah, I like that. That's brilliant. I know. Excellent. I love it. Stephen Moss, do you see the Wonder Woman TV movie from 1974 starring Kathy Lee?
Oh God, yeah, I did. Yes, it was awful.
Oh,
totally different vibe to what finally came out with Linda Carter. She sort of wore a costume that was more akin to what was going on in the comics at the time. In the comics, Wonder Woman lost her costume and was going around in designer gear. So the Wonder Woman character was different. I don't know what it was. It was she didn't have things like the lasso and the braces or anything like that. It was she was going after people on motorbikes and all of this sort of stuff. It really was it really was poor. Let's take
Oh.
it like this. And you can tell why it was a pilot, never sort of came out as a TV series. But they did want to do a TV series, and they finally brought it out, and they refined it to be something quite good, which is why it was for why it was out for 2 seasons. I mean, it was a 2 seasons thing. It's, you know, the Cafe Lee Crosby version, yeah.
Yeah. Cauldron of Stardust. Delmum struggling with the remote control. That's sad, but kind of endearing. We love Delmum. There you are.
She loves you all, I'll tell you that. I do tell her the adventures I have.
I upset me once. I honest to goodness don't know what you're referring to. And I apologize if I gave you the impression I was up with something you said. You and Ian bring me only joy. Yeah.
Honestly, what it was he what happened was he knows that I'm on Discord, right? Because he's part of the main Meister gang and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was after an episode where we were discussing The Crow.
Yeah.
And Spawn. But I seem to give the impression that Spawn was better than The Crow.
Yeah.
And I can understand where he got that impression from, because in the comic books, Spawn is better than The Crow, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about a #1 comic that sold millions and millions and millions. And if you look at The Crow, it was an indie comic by, I think, Dark Horse or something like that might have sold at best, I don't know, 200,000 or something like that. But the film was atrocious.
Yes.
Spawn, the film, was atrocious.
Yes.
We were talking. You brought up the subject because you said, "I wonder if The Crow only was successful because we all know what happened to Brandon."
I think that's true.
And that's where the concept of the story came from.
Yeah.
Why it turned into Spawn and everything else.
Yeah.
So he came on and he said, "How dare you say Spawn was a good film? It is the most dire piece of shite you've ever seen in your life. The Crow is this, The Crow is that." And I was going, so of course I answered to him and said, "I'm so sorry if I've upset you. I'm pretty sure that if you look it back, I was actually referring to the fact that the Spawn was about comic, and the comic is so much better because that you can't lie that the first 20 or so issues of Spawn the comic, it started Image Comics, for God's sake. I mean, it sold millions. But you know, at the end of the day, the film's atrocious.
Yeah.
Spawn is awful. The only redeeming feature, and it's not even a redeeming feature, is the cloak looked all right at the time. You know, Spawn's got this cloak and it sort of like morphs into all sorts of things, right? And it's about the only effect that you can actually turn around and said it was. I mean, it ends in a battle in hell. And I tell you what, it was hell getting through it.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank God there wasn't another film.
Yeah.
The best thing about Spawn, I think, that could have occurred was they did a manga type cartoon, and it was an 18 certificate cartoon at that. So basically, it was bloody and nasty and horrible.
Yeah.
And that got a lot of rave reviews. A lot of rave reviews. Todd McFarlane has made millions purely from his toy line.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
He's got McFarlane toys. He sells Spawn action figures and stuff.
I've seen them on people showing them. Yeah.
But, you know, that film, my God.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I don't want to.
He dared to say, Todd McFarlane, "I am going to make another Spawn. It is going to be made in the next 5 years. I am going to direct it. I am going to write it. I am going to produce it. I am going to choose who the actors are. And this company that's going to actually finance it all is going to love it," right? And happened yet. And the reason for that is, how can you turn around and say, "Here is $50 million, and I'm going to give it to this guy who's drawn the comic but has never directed a thing"?
Yeah.
Never directed a thing. How are you going to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, even I would get itchy teeth. I'd say, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
going to get Sam Raimi doing it? Oh, all right, thumbs
Yeah.
up. You want to be an executive producer? Yeah, we want your input. It's your character.
Yes.
Of course,
Yeah.
we want you on.
Yeah.
You want to write it? Yeah. How many comics have you written? And they've all
Yeah.
been, gold and all this. Yeah. Direct
But a
it?
director, no.
No.
No. No. No.
So if he drops this pretense, let's I want to direct it, produce it, and all of that.
Yeah.
If he drops the directing bit, I think he might get somewhere.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We'll move on.
Right. Steve Moles, I should have gone back to the roots of Doctor Who by using a Dalek story, a Cybermen story, and so on. It would have probably have made this Doctor Who interesting.
Yeah, but you're never going to get that with Russell T Davies, because Russell T
His
Davies
ego is so big.
No, he basically turned around and said, I'm moving away from all those monsters and stuff. This is going to be a brand new start, and it's going to be new.
It's all fantasy, and it's funny. I did a review today of SFX, which plug will come up on channel at weekend. And there's an interview with Russell T Davies, and he's beyond it. He really is now. He's just, it's just awful. But I mean, the fact that they said, "Oh, it's season 1 again." Is it hell season 1? Stupid. That just shows you the mentality.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But is that Disney or is that Russell T Davies? I still have trouble wondering which one of these is true.
They're both as bad as each other.
I mean, at the end of the day, if somebody if Disney came up to me and they said, "Listen, here's a back pocket 150,000. All you got to do is just turn around and say these few things. This is season 1. Blah 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 blah." Right? I might turn around and go 150,000. Yeah, all right. That's a house. I can buy my mother house with that. Thank you very much. And then, of course, when everything all dies down and it dies, he can turn around and say, "Disney told me to say that."
He would do as well. He's,
you know what I mean? I can see him being the backstabbing person.
Yeah, he's not somebody you'd trust at all now. He's trying to.
Media is full of contradiction. Take it like this.
Yeah.
They keep saying they've filmed half of season 2 of Doctor Who, and the future of it is in doubt based on the figures that they've seen for the first season. Yet they've greenlit and they're now filming the spin-off series of Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm turning around and going, how can the second season of Doctor Who be in doubt if they're filming a spin-off series that they're not going to have an actual main series of anymore?
Yes.
So I find all of this a contradiction load of shit. I'm pretty sure Disney actually want to keep it going. They've got no problems because I think that Disney want merchandise.
Yeah.
They know that no matter how bad Doctor Who is, everybody will buy the box set of that season.
Apart from me.
They'll bring it out on a steelbook and they'll go, right, I will be there. I will be there lining up. I will have it all.
I wouldn't have that in my collection. It'd ruin my collection.
I can't not have it because it'll be a gap in my collection.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm not bothered.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I am not that torn from it that I'm not going to say I am not that. What I'm trying to say is I'm not that torn from it that I wouldn't have that piece of crap on my shelf. Right?
Yeah.
Because if anybody turned around and said, "How can you have that crap on your shelf?" I could turn around and say, "Well, I can sell it. Not on my shelf anymore now. Look, there you go. Problem gone." Right? Some people would turn around and say, "Yeah, but you were an idiot. You bought that for $59.99. You bloody will. You could have bought something else or something. You know what I mean?" And I'll turn around and say, "Moment of madness, brain fart." Well, I mean, you could just shrug it off. You know, Let's
I
move
know
on.
we've had all this before. It's all about choices and
Yeah,
what
I
you
didn't like it. I
decided
told
to
you it. I told you one episode offended me.
Yeah,
You remember, right?
I know, and you'll still have it in your collection.
Oh yeah, I said to you.
And then
I
that's
said
all. You see, I
this.
wouldn't touch it with a
This is
barge
not
pole.
Doctor Who, and this offended me.
Yeah,
Now,
and those, even those 2, or was it 3 specials I wouldn't have in my collection where David Tennant returned. They were awful. I don't know.
yeah, but there was moments in the second one actually that I thought was all right. The one where
really
they were on a
didn't like
one where
it.
they were on a the one where they were on a spaceship and they met doppelgangers of themselves. I thought that
Oh,
was actually all
no.
right.
No, I couldn't stand it. I really couldn't.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Right, let's we don't
See,
want to
what
go
I'm
down.
saying is that was the lesser of the pronouns crap. Do you see what I mean?
Oh God, that
Because
was
they met themselves and they were talking to themselves and they didn't know
it
who
was
they were.
embarrassing.
I like those sort of stories, but there you go.
I was absolutely embarrassed when they started coming out with some of that stuff. You sat there going, "No, please, enough."
Yeah.
Stephen Taylor, are there any American animation comedy series you enjoy? The Simpsons, Family Guy, South Park, etc.
I do like Family Guy.
Yeah, I like Family Guy. I like South Park as well.
Now I tried to watch Star Trek Lower Decks, but I couldn't get into it.
I've not actually attempted to watch them. I don't know.
You ought to give them a try. It's just that. Do you remember that Next Generation episode where they followed these teenagers that seemed to be had lowered roles to do? You know, they were
Lower Decks. I think it was
right.
called, wasn't it?
So what I'm trying to say is Lower Decks is that.
Oh, right.
In animated format.
All right. And you didn't get into it?
I had trouble getting into it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, animation for me needs to be polished now for me to like it. I can't watch South Park and all of that.
Yeah.
Some of the animation that I see these days looks awful.
Yeah.
It looks like it was done for 50 pence.
I love
Do you know what I mean? And this is coming from somebody that turns around and says they like Trumpton and Clangers and all the rest of the stuff that was done for 5 pence.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is when you're looking at Star Trek and you look at Star Trek the animated series that was in the 70s and you saw that and you knew that was low cost, it's worse than that.
Yeah.
And I like Star Trek the animated series from 1972.
Yeah.
Add the voices of Kirk and all of that sort of stuff. You got to remember that these are characters that you've got to renew and love, and you don't know who they are, and it means you've got to persevere, and you've got to your energies into liking these. And if you don't do that, then they're going to be characters that you're never going to like, and therefore why are you watching it?
And then you don't bother if you're not connected with characters.
Yeah.
Why bother watching?
So that's how it is. Anyway, they did ask you American animated comedies. Which are your favourites? Then
I said I like South Park because it's not afraid to say a lot of things. It can be very controversial. And Family Guy is Family Guy, if you know what I mean. Simpsons, I must admit, I've never watched. I've never seen The Simpsons.
Never.
Yeah.
You've never seen one episode?
No, I've never watched an episode of Simpsons.
Wow.
No. I know. There you are.
Even I saw The Simpsons on the Tracy Ullman show.
No, I've never watched it.
Because the Simpsons started off in Tracy Ullman's show.
Yeah.
And then they branched out into having their own comedy cartoon show, and it took off from there. And it made, I think, Tracy Ullman a millionaire because they bought themselves out of the contract. The Simpsons was unique as being a show in her show, if you see what I mean. And that meant that they scheduled her to be in season 2 and season 3 of the Tracy Ullman show. And of course, they couldn't do that if they wanted their own show. They had to purchase that back. And the Simpsons was growing in popularity all the time. You see what I mean? So of course, Tracy went, give me a couple of million. You can You know what I mean? I think that's how it. I think that's the story behind it. I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
We are
And,
talking about 1988.
is it the longest running
The longest running
animated series in the
running
world?
animated series in the world.
Yeah, I thought it would be. Mm.
I mean, it hasn't stopped since 88 or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean?
So yeah, we better start moving these comments now. Cauldron of Stardust at Stephen Taylor. I do know that Dell is a big fan of Frasier. Yeah, I know. We know that. Yeah, he's mentioned it quite a lot. Stephen Taylor, you said animation. I am an idiot. Oh,
yeah, because he mentioned Frasier, which isn't an animated show, is it?
And then yes, there. Danny Dukes, The Sopranos, season 6, episode 21.
Oh, so I thought the last season was a half season, so it's not. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Well done. Thanks, Danny, for the
21. It's a lot.
So basically, all the seasons, therefore, were 20 odd.
Yeah, it's a lot to watch, isn't it? Cauldron of Stardust. I totally agree with Ian on the X-Files. It's easy to build the tension and intrigue with the big conspiracy when it's all vague, but I don't think the creators themselves even knew where it was going. I think that is true. They didn't really know. They had an idea, and they just started wondering where they were going to go.
Didn't Chris Carter actually say that? He said, I wrote this the series. I didn't expect it to go 11 bloody seasons.
Yeah, he probably did. I don't know. Simons, I loved all the old games like Paperboy and Golden Axe.
I loved Golden Axe, but I was never very good at Paperboy. Now, I never had I did have a paper round, but I never had a bike, in Britain we never threw them at the bloody house, open in the post box, right? You had to walk down the actual path and post it through the letterbox. Probably have your hand nipped off by a bloody dog or something. Right? But game wise, Paperboy, what an innovative thing, having an arcade machine with the handlebars as a steering controller. I mean, it's amazing, really, when you think about it. I mean, they spent an awful lot of money back in the day to make you feel that this is an actual real thing. You know what I mean? A game like Paperboy, all you're doing is delivering papers, but they make an arcade cabinet with actual bike handlebars. That's great, isn't it? When you think about it, marvelous. How they did that, I don't know. Next.
All right. Mark Fletcher. I wish I could get some of the original Al Roach Little Rascals episodes at an affordable price. They only seem to be the remake film available over here. I absolutely adore Al Roach comedy.
Yeah. You know Hal Roach Studios?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't know Little Rascals.
Wasn't that I mean, Hal Roach is Laurel and Hardy, isn't it? It was the studio Laurel and Hardy came out.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Little Rascals the little boys that were from the down and outs of orphanage, and they had a fat one and a thin one and a little girl and all this sort of stuff, and it was a bit like the Keystone Cops. In regards to, they all had individual characters and they all got into trouble. They kicked policemen up the arse and then ran away and all that sort of stuff, I don't think I've seen too many of those.
No, I've never seen any of them.
I think they started off silent.
Yeah. Right. Stephen Taylor, if you could time travel to witness any event in history, what would it be?
Ian Hill's birth.
Oh God. How unfortunate for you.
I'd say, put him back.
Put him back. And my mum would probably say, "Who's that? Who's that there?" Oh, it's in.
You'll thank me tomorrow. Put him back. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we've had this before. Oh, there's so many events which would be quite interesting.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I was born so close to the moon landing, and everybody mentions the moon landing, don't they? Some people mention the Kennedy assassination. I think I'd like to go back to something like the start of Queen Elizabeth's war cry, when she was talking to her subjects to say that she was a weak queen, but she would always be strong. Please fight for me. And the Armada was just about to attack the Spanish. I think I'd have loved to have been in the crowd where she gave that speech to all of the English peasants to say, fight for me. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That'd be quite good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose I'd like to attend every single one of the beheadings of Henry VIII's wives.
Yeah, Henry VIII.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Can I see the head being chopped off of Henry? You know. I don't know. That's a difficult one.
It is, yeah. I mean,
can I witness the event of time travel being born?
Oh, I don't know. I would be fascinated to go back. Obviously, it's an area I've always been interested in, which is 17th century English Civil War period. But I don't know. I suppose if we look at a more modern one.
Is there something in World War One you'd like to see?
I know what would be interesting if you saw the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. That's a massive thing, because that's what triggers the whole thing off of the First World War.
Yeah, it was.
So if you was there, you could do like a Kennedy thing and try and stop it, but you probably couldn't.
The assassination of Lincoln.
Yeah.
Let's go to the theatre, shall we, and stop the bloke from shooting.
Yeah, the Archduke Ferdinand. Yeah, because the thing was with that, what everybody was so geared for war, they couldn't step back because the logistics involved. So once Russia and Germany started mobilizing troops, they couldn't stop. They couldn't say, "Oh, let's have peace now," because everything was geared to war. Otherwise, they could be in serious trouble. So once the mechanism got going, there was no way it could ever stop.
What was the war before World War One? You know, was it in India? Is that the English war with India? Was that what was going on before World War One?
Don't get the Indian War of Independence. It's more. I mean, there were always like uprisings.
Yeah.
India didn't get its independence till after 1940s, was it? I think.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, when people talk about the start of the World War One, right?
Yeah.
We know the British were there and all of that sort of stuff. But when people say, what was the war that Britain was involved in before World War One?
Oh, yeah.
I know I can see pictures of what the clothes they're wearing.
It's the Boer War.
It's the Boer War.
Yeah, right. The whole series of them in South Africa. And
you see what I mean? There you go.
Zulu Wars.
Yeah,
Zulu Wars.
Zulu Wars.
Boer Wars. Zulu Wars.
See, why I had a brain fart on that, I don't know. But you remember I said India, you see, it was Africa, not India. You see what I mean? And I go like this.
Actually, it's always interesting that they suddenly realised that you couldn't. In Zulu, we've got the red uniform, haven't we? I mean, they suddenly realised eventually that perhaps that wasn't such a good idea. It stands out.
Yeah, bright red. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's easier to. But whereas if you've got something.
But I think we had red for years, didn't we? Because
we did. Red was the thing.
In the Americas, we were red.
Yes, yeah. we were known as the Redcoats. We were
Yeah.
the Redcoats. But they suddenly realized.
You know what happens in Star Trek if you wear red? You're
Yeah.
dead, yeah.
The Boer War is important because the Boer War we nearly lost.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there were absolute. There was, because we were the great British Empire. How could we lose against this small nation? And it took a lot of effort. And then when they examined a lot, that's where all these reforms started to come in. And thought, well, actually, it's not such a good idea to go around in warfare in a bright red uniform because it's easier targets. And all this developed up to First World War. But it took something like the Boer War to wake us up about uniforms. In middle of deserts, you can't go around in bright red uniforms and things like that. It just don't make sense. Stephen Moles, Mark Fletcher, The Little Rascals Complete Collection was released in the States. That's that we were on about earlier, yeah. Mark Fletcher, 1922, so it is silent era, to 1938.
Yeah.
Steve Moles, yes, a bit out of my price range though at the moment, sadly. Yeah, a lot of things are. Mark Fletcher, there's one being sold on Amazon secondhand, $45.
You have to ask yourself, you see, now, if it's something that you really, really want, $45, it is a lot of money, but, you can talk yourself into these things. But you somebody else that looks from it from an outside point of view is always the person that I hate, because they're always turning around and saying, you spent $45 on a mostly silent film in black and white in Blu-ray. What definition are you going to get? You're not going to get no Dolby Atmos with that, are you? And all of this, and people look at you as if you were you knocked on the head when you were born. What you got to understand is it's the format of the of what is acceptable to you now, and you want the best definition. So of course you'll have one that you think that this fits in. Sound, it's never been about the sound. The whole point of it is that you want something that basically you love, and if you love it, you'll have it in any format. You know what I mean? And so when somebody turns around and talks $45 to somebody else, it's like, wow, I could power the house for around about 3 weeks for $45. You got to turn around and say, yeah, and I've been waiting 27 years for that to come out. 27 years. Right? What have you waited 27 years for? You know what I mean? And that's where I'm saying it. Don't judge someone on something like this, because that is what makes us collectors, what makes us film fans.
And if you really want something and it's out of print, but you still want it, you'll pay it. Pay whatever, even really bad prices. You'll pay them if you want them. I mean, I wanted Nowhere Man for years. It went out of print and I was just lucky because Nowhere Man I was able to pick up for about, I think it was about 40 quid, which was a bit over. But now you're lucky to get it for 100, if any. It's so rare it's become. But it was something I was quite happy to pay 40 quid because I knew it was out of print, and it was a series that I really, really loved. So I was happy to do that. I had to really love the series. But I know it's ridiculous prices now. You've got that Nowhere Man. It was a great series.
Yeah. Remember we talked about it the other week.
Abigail is out on Blu-ray. Oh yeah, because that's what we looked it up, didn't we? Yeah. And that's where it'll go on and get a 4K release by end of year probably. To Ian and Del, Mark Fletcher, I just want to say a big thank you for this thing you do for us every Wednesday. Oh, You don't know just how much your efforts brighten up my not so brilliant life these days. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. That
such a
means
nice
a lot. That means a lot to us both, I think, when
I
people
think
say
Mark has
that.
mentioned. I think Mark has mentioned in his blog just quite why he's really liking your channel, Ian, and my channel at the moment. He's not in the best of health. So to have somebody turn around and say something like that, where it brightens up their life, that it puts a smile on their face. You know what it's like, don't you, Ian, with the pain and everything in your leg, how difficult it is to even remain positive to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Mark, it's an absolute pleasure that you found something that you from my gob, because I tell you what, nothing that comes out good out of my gob apparently the last couple of weeks.
I mean, I think I'm speaking on behalf of us both here, but I really enjoy doing this, and now it's permanently part of what we do. We're going to be doing these. It'll be part. We don't intend to stop as long as people want us to keep doing it, and we get things like this. Then we're going to be more than happy to carry on doing this. This is what we want to do,
and that cheers me at no end, because I'm forever going, when's this going to end? Because I'm going to be so sad that it does. I know he's going to find me out as being false or something. And I'm gonna lose, you know what I mean? And I'm going to lose my job. And
I think the thing is, you know, we're just happy doing it. We really are. And you know, to get, I mean, we don't get massive views compared with some lives, but over time we get people still watching them afterwards that go out as well. So anybody, we're really happy just to do what we do. Fantastic. And thank you everybody that comes in, watches, comments, just supports us. It's great. Thank you so much.
I won't say any more than that, because it was probably the best words I've ever heard in my life. So that's
it. Cauldron of Stardust. Oh yeah, I don't apologize for trashing the Spawn movie. Not that The Crow was a good movie, and I was disappointed in Crow. It's not. But Goodnight Spawn was an abomination. Yeah, I've never seen it. I didn't want to. I have no interest in seeing it at all. Steve Mose, the new Crow film looks awful. Yeah, I'm sure it does. And Steve Mose, The Phantom, The Shadow, The Rocketeer are good films. Yeah, I think people like them better now.
Do you know what? My favorite out of all those, my favorite out of all of those three films is the Rocketeer. It's a Disney film. It's got a character a bit like Timothy Dalton, but it's not. And it's based on the old Rocketeer 30s sort of serial things. But the music was done by James Horner, and I tell you what, it's got the most gorgeous piano piece in it. Right, it is the most gorgeous piano piece. James Horner sadly missed. Died about 5 or 6 years ago, I think. But the Rocketeer, it's just one of those feel-good type things. It even starts off with one of those rallies, you know, where you go to America and they've got lots of farmland and everything, and every year they've got like a crop duster type plane event where they've got to fly their planes around a circle or something, and they've got stuff in these old B type planes. And I just think to myself, how quaint is that? And there's this guy with a rocket strapped to his back. He can't control the thing. He's trying to go up and down and all this. Brilliant. And then of course in the back end there's a Nazi story in the back end. You know what I mean?
Can't be it.
Always got to be around somebody trying to nick the plans of this rocket that they can use it to master the world. You know what I mean?
Brilliant. Steve's Gaming. Sorry, guys, I'll have to see the rest tomorrow. Feeling shit, so off to bed. Thanks for this. Superb as usual. Good night. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Yep.
Salute, Steve. You know how I
Yeah.
feel about you. I mean, bye.
Yeah. Sai says, have you heard of the sad news of the death of Charles Cypher, the actor who played Sheriff
I
Brackett
heard
in the
something
original
about that.
Halloween?
I heard something about that, but I didn't know
Yeah.
what. I think it was because I was listening to the news and I was doing some stuff about setting
Yeah.
up coming on. I did hear something.
Yeah, I sort of heard. I've been avoiding a lot of news, anyhow, but yeah, I think I may have heard that. But yeah, that is it's always sad news, and the original Halloween as well. Yeah. Stephen Moles, Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who was bad as well. They should have stopped after Peter Capaldi.
It's amazing how much of a bad rap last season of Peter Capaldi was, but actually it was probably the best season he ever
Yeah,
did.
one with Bill. Yeah.
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 I thought it was a work of genius. That
I thought the writing just improved a lot on that.
it's just that Cyberman story just sticks out so much.
Yeah.
Where the idea of where the tear comes from.
Yes. Yeah.
It all comes from her because she turned into a Cyberman.
Yeah.
And it was the timeline, wasn't it? Where she's at the bottom, at the top, and the further you went up, the more back in time you went. I thought it was a cracking story.
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah. Danny Jukes, Golden Axe and Paperboy were great games.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
You won't see those bikes again because the arcade has gone,
Stephen Moles, School Days and Gauntlet were good games as well.
Well, School Days was on the Spectrum, just so that you know this. School Days was on the Spectrum. The Spectrum was a computer from 1982. And everybody in 1982 was watching Grange Hill. Right, Grange Hill on TV. You got home from school. There was Tucker and all the rest of it. Or you could go upstairs after Grange Hill was finished, load up the cassette of School Days, and you'd be playing the same sort of thing, Grange Hill, but you'll be playing the game. You'll be a character. All you got to do is you've got to try and get through school, try and do all these pranks or whatever it was. And if you get caught by the teacher, he gave you 100 lines to do and all sorts of shit. It was really, really quite innovative. And yeah, those days, I'll never live those days again. My God. You look at it now and a kid would go, what's this piece of crap? All yellow and black. Where's all the multicolored graphics and all that sort of stuff, But you had an imagination back then, So that's all I can say about that, really. Just a nice memory.
And I think this might be the last comment, actually. Stephen Wells, I think eventually they'll bring the army in to help the police with these riots. Yeah.
I think if a lot of people are thinking that because the prisons are overrun, that they won't put up temporary accommodation for these, like building prefabricated concrete things. You want to know how quickly they built Hayford Air Force Base, right? That's what they'll do to have Penn in.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be surprised to me that the army.
I don't think they've got any choice if they carry on. They will do it. They'll do it. They've got to.
Because that's what they're relying on. There's nowhere to store them. So basically.
And what was it? Sai says, nighty night, guys. Thank you, Sai, for joining us. And I think that's the last comment. So I'm now going to say thank you so much, Delboy. As usual, it's been an absolute joy, absolute pleasure. And thank you, everybody who's commented, who's watched this. And I hope you enjoy it. And we'll be back again next week.
Yeah, I'm just going to say my salute. Thank you very much to everyone.
So all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.